new era for American cricket began in 2021.
There he goes into a dive! What a catch!
The rise of cricket was celebrated across the country. Now, with big wickets and even bigger hits, the stars of minor league cricket are back and better than ever.
Primus goes huge!
Don't miss the nation's largest league competing for the biggest prize in American cricket. The Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship returns June 25th.
You're watching the Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship, presented by Sunoco.
Welcome back to Prairie View. Pleased to bring you the 2022 Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship presented by Sunoco. First over by Sohail Tanvir went for 6 runs. Now taking up the attack from the forest end is going to be Mohammad Ilyas, and he will be bowling to the imperious Shayan Jahangir. First ball clipped elegantly down to square leg. They get 1, they'll get 2 easily. As Shayan Jahangir continuing to show his class. Been the top batter in the side for the Lone Star Athletics the entire season. And look, Pratir, I think the best batter in the side is somebody who's going to get the most attention.
Yeah, definitely. And even if you see that first shot, a lot of confidence. Mohammad Ilyas, the fastest bowler, I believe, on this Hurricanes team, taking 2 steps down the pitch on a pitch that's doing stuff.
You see him advance again down the wicket. This is just good, positive batting. And here's what I want to see from both of these sides. Just forget about the records. Just go out there and play positive attacking cricket.
Yeah, and we saw something earlier a few months ago, when Brendan McCullum was in that test team coaching for the first time. We saw a change in approach, that never say die positive approach, and that really helped rebuild that English red ball team. And if that's something we can see with either one of these, even both of these sides, that would be something that would really help them towards the back half of the season.
You're just simply looking for something to build on if you're either one of these sides, and positive signs all around so far for Lone Star. Oh, good fuller delivery by Mohammad Ilyas and just defended to mid-wicket. Shayan Jahangir, check. Yes, Shayan Jahangir. No, that's Hamza Bangash. Apologies. Bangash just defending that ball to mid-wicket for no run.
And the only thing which I have seen so far this season by Hamza Bangash, even today so far, 6 off 7 deliveries. However, he's only scored off 2 of them. And if we look at Shayan Jahangir, both the balls he's played so far, he's looked to rotate the strike. So if Hamza Bangash can possibly try and get a few quick singles, that may even help his innings get built.
Ilyas again, and this is blasted, but directly to Ashley Nurse at mid-off for no run.
Yep, you definitely don't want to take on his arm.
Ashley Nurse, obviously one of the luminaries in the side. I think thus far this season has not been the same player that he was last season. I think that's fair to say, but the talent is still there. It's just that the overall results for him, and by extension the entire side, has not been what they would have liked. But still a truly attacking cricketer with bat and ball. Oh, full toss. That's going to, I believe, be a no ball, is it? Let's see. Yep. I think Owen Brown is signaling no ball. Tried to go for a slower delivery, but absolutely overpitched it, and it reached the batter above waist height. Anytime that happens, that immediately is called and signaled no ball. And so therefore 1 run to the total, but importantly, this next ball is a free hit.
And I think there's some argument about that no ball. I'm not quite sure what it's about. We see it again on replay, and if we look at it, that is miles over his head. It one bounce to the keeper, and no matter where the batsman's standing, I think that's what the argument is, that the batsman came 2 steps down the pitch. No matter where he is, that ball is going over waist height.
Potentially, part of the argument could have been that it was a slower delivery, but well, of course that doesn't matter. So here's a free hit delivery, Mohammad Ilyas. A great ball. It's going to be well played though. Look at that shot from Hamza Bangash. Not a lot of margin for error, but just punching that Yorker right through the wide mid-on area, runs away for 4. That's a great shot.
Yeah, and we look again on replay. We saw Hamza Bangash actually standing almost outside off stump, which is quite remarkable. And then shuffling, and I mean, we talk about it in T20s, let alone T20s, any form of the game now. If you overcook that Yorker, if you undercook it even by 6 inches, that ball will fly to the rope, and that's exactly what we saw there.
Well, that's a good call in your part, Pratir, because he was straddling the popping crease. He was actually straddling the crease that is where the wickets are planted. And it was a tremendous, tremendous ball. And now good comeback delivery by Mohamed Ilyas, defended into the offside for no run. So a flurry of activity here all of a sudden. This game has become alive all of a sudden. The score, 14 without loss. Here we look at the replay.
I think that ball kept a shade low again. If you look at it,
Yep.
oh, it did.
No question, that did stay a little bit low. So something that will keep the bowlers interested. Mohamed Ilyas still, I believe, with one ball remaining. Scorecard may be incorrect.
Is it over up?
And in fact, it
Seems
is
like
the
over.
end of the over, yes. So a little bit of confusion, but at the end of the second over, the score is 14 without loss. We'll be right back.
What's up, Doug? What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
Back here at Prairie View. As a reminder, you can follow us on our social media channels. Just go to either Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube and search for Minor League Cricket. Specifically on Twitter, you can search for @MILCUSA. So Tanvir to continue. This ball is going down the leg side, I believe, from our angle. A little bit difficult to tell. In fact, it may not have gone down the leg side because no signal from umpire Rakesh Jain. So it's just a dot ball to start things here in the third.
Yep, and more dot balls, which, I mean, you don't mind it too much in the power play as long as the boundaries are coming. That was something that we saw with Houston Hurricanes yesterday. There were lots of dot balls in their innings, which... Oh, that's actually a beautiful delivery. You see that on replay.
Oh, we're just happening to see the replay. He absolutely turned him inside out. Again with that angle, slanting in and then leaving him. That is not an easy delivery to bowl, Shaheen Jahangir. If you're bowling a delivery that makes him look like an amateur, then you know it's a good delivery. Oh, again, just looking to defend this one. Anxious to get off the strike almost, Shaheen Jahangir. Of course, it's never going to be easy to play Sohail Tanvir. Number one, he's an international bowler, former international bowler. Number two, he has sort of that awkward delivery where he almost bowls off the wrong foot. He plants that front foot almost the exact second that he's releasing the ball, so much so that it appears that he's releasing the ball before he plants his front foot. So he's kind of tricky to read in that way, Pratir.
Yeah, and that ball that just about missed the outside edge, I'm pretty sure that was well batted as well. He didn't edge the ball. That was an absolute perler. Almost test match type stuff. Shaping in, leaving the batsman ever so slightly. And so far, a good over by Sohail Tanvir. We saw the slip does come back in. I was wondering why it went out in the first over.
That is a good call in your part, the slip in position, because that ball is leaving the right-hander. There's now a short mid-wicket in position, and the two fielders outside the circle. Of course, you can only have two outside during the power play. There's a man down, the third man, and deep backward square leg. Oh. Great delivery again, sort of a tentative poke and miss. So three great deliveries on the trot. Sohail Tanvir is absolutely stamping his authority on this inning so far.
Yeah, and that's not something we've seen. Shaheen Jahangir has been pretty dominant throughout the season, as we saw, and seems to be struggling early on. See this ball again on replay. Yeah, again, angle in, just enough movement away to trouble Shaheen Jahangir, and this is a good start for the Houston Hurricanes. Both these batsmen not looking comfortable at the crease.
So Tanvir, three dot balls on the trot, looking to continue here. And this is well played, just defended back down the wicket. But four dot balls, you know, it was said yesterday, if you have Sohail Tanvir in your attack, essentially you can almost bank on planning for 16 overs as a captain versus 20 overs, because you know his 4 overs are going to be pretty miserly. They're not going to score very much off of him, you don't think. And I think he's proving that with every delivery that he bowls so far.
Yep, and we still see Shayan Jahangir advancing down the pitch, and you'd think that's to set off the line and length of Sohail Tanvir, but at the moment Sohail Tanvir is adjusting very, very well.
Here he is again. Full and almost an identical delivery to the previous one, but this time, throw down to the striker's end. And that fielder first slip, I think, took it on the heel of his palm. A strong throw coming in from Ashley Nurse at mid-off, or mid-on rather. And they do run through for a single. That fielder had slipped, sort of flashing his hand. I think that could have hurt him a little bit.
Yeah, and that's not good if you're a Houston Hurricanes fan. You'd hope that it's nothing major. Ramiz Raja, I believe that is at first slip. And it's not a batsman, not a player who you want to get injured in any way or any fashion. You want him 100% all times during the season.
Last ball of the over. Short of a length and just riding the bounce that time is Hamza Bangash. Keeper Saklin Haider running across, doing the cleanup work. So another excellent over bowled by Sohail Tanvir. At the end of 3, the score is 50.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले। हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
$16 without loss back here at Prairie View in another all-Texas matchup between the Lone Star Athletics and the Houston Hurricanes. Of course, our official tournament sponsor, Dafa News, and Mohamed Elias taking up the attack again from the Forest End. This delivery is just defended into the onside. No run to start things here in the 4th.
Yep, and I wouldn't say a lack of intent. However, again, we do see a lot of dot balls in this inning so far. Hamza Bangash having hit 2 boundaries and a double out of 13 deliveries now. And even Shayan Jahangir 3 off 2 and then scored 1 off his next 5 deliveries, which, if you look at it, you don't want these dot balls adding up, because you know as soon as the spinners come on this type of pitch, they'll keep adding up.
Boy, another attacking delivery from Mohamed Elias. That's the type of delivery you've come to expect from him. It's going to be short of a length. It's going to be jagging into the batter. And that one getting to Hamza Bangash somewhere around waist height, just having to jump and defend it at the last second.
Yep, and this pitch has been pretty good for the bowlers. All types of bowling, honestly speaking. We see that one banged in, really two-paced when the ball is banged in. We've seen the slower balls into the pitch, which have really gripped. And then we've also seen the spin, which some balls have kept through low and shot through, and then some have really gripped and turned off a length.
Full delivery and blasted. Oh, couple of bounces, goes all the way for 4. Boy, Hamza Bangash not needing any invitation to play that shot. Just plants that front foot. 4 more runs to the total.
Yep, overpitched there by Mohamed Elias. Not happy with himself after that delivery, and if you're Hamza Bangash, that's all you really want at this point. Anything in your zone, and you know you're going to swing as hard as you can at that.
Oh, I see on that replay, he just cleared that front foot, just planting that front foot and absolutely getting that ball away. And now in response, you see now a fielder dropping back in that same position exactly where that ball just went. Mohamed Elias again, shorter length and met with a fierce drive into the outfield, but That fielder again just dropping back and being put into that specific position. So just a single on this occasion.
Yep, and that fielder seemed to be a plan in a way for Hamza Bangash. They had him out just for him, and now pretty standard field once again. Third man deep square out for Shayan Jahangir.
So of course now with Shayan Jahangir on strike, that fielder from the deep comes back in. Mohamed Elias again short of a length and just riding that bounce. Really well played by Shayan Jahangir. Single down to backward square. So when Shayan Jahangir is on strike, the two fielders outside the circle are at deep square leg and third man. For Hamza Bangash, then that certainly makes things differently. You drop that fielder back deep mid-wicket, and also you can see the difference in strategy for these two. So here's Mohamed Elias again bowling, I believe, the last ball, looking to hike that one away just a bit out in front of that shot. Hamza Bangash not making contact. So that is the end of the over. At the end of the fourth over, score is 23 without loss.
If I tell you the easiest way to maximize your tax savings, get bookkeeping done, and having a better financial position in the market is to call 1-800-250-8596. So what are you waiting for? Just pick up the phone and call us now.
Score is 22. 22 without loss after four, and then the first bowling change of the day. This is captain himself, Usman Rafiq, taking up the attack, replacing Sohail Tanvir from the highway end. Usman Rafiq with tremendously skillful off spinner, right-handed off spinner. It will be interesting to see the approach that Hamza Bangash in particular takes to the off spinner, because he's already an attacking batter, and if he's able to take on this off spinner, especially during the power play, you could potentially see some fireworks. Of course, the first person who he's going to bowl to is not Hamza Bangash. Instead, he'll be bowling to Shayan Jahangir.
No, he's telling me that you can use this.
Here we are.
Ooh.
Good delivery. First up from the captain himself, Usman Rafiq. Just defended into the onside for no run.
It looks like he got some turn there early. It's barely the fifth over, so you'd wonder if there's already turn on offer, how this pitch will play throughout the second innings.
Slapped away in the deep, couple of bounces. Matthew Trump running across, not able to get there. So 4 more runs. This is always going to be a risky ploy to bring on the off spinner inside of the power play with only 2 fielders allowed outside the circle. Here you see on the replay from well outside the line of off stump, sweeping that one, no danger, and sweeping it away, and only 2 fielders allowed outside the circle. The 2 fielders are down at long on and square leg, but acres of space out there on the onside with the ball turning in that direction. Always going to be difficult to be able to control it.
And something we saw last season from Shayan Jahangir was that he started batting outside the off stump to the spinner's off stump, outside off stump, and he said that really helped him get a free swing through the line of the ball, and that again seems to be what he's doing today. If we look at it, that one just nudged into the leg side will be a quick single. That's much better there. Rotation or strike quickly.
So you all may not be able to see this, but we are rejoicing here in the commentators area as we have just fixed the technical issue, and so now you have our full attention. 3 deliveries remain here in the 5th. Mr. Mangesh Chowdhury has the biggest smile on his face. And here we are again. This is a huge hit, and that is going to be 6. That is a gigantic shot. Hamza Bangash doing exactly what you expected he would do. 6 more to the total.
Yeah, and you have to wonder, I mean, as much as he did bowl well yesterday, with 2 explosive right-handers who love playing spin, who love the leg side, surely you'd want to keep your pacer bowlers on, especially when they're bowling the way they are. Or even look to get someone like a Matthew Trump in early.
Well, I mentioned it. Bringing the off spinner on inside the power play with only 2 allowed outside the circle is always going to be a roll of the dice. Slower through the air this time and a little bit far outside the line of off stump. For a split second, Rakesh Jain would have thought about giving that a wide, but ends up just allowing it to go through, just a dot ball. So now 1 ball remaining here in the 5th. Short, cut away. Oh my goodness, what a diving attempt by the fielder at point. Off his hand, runs away for 4. A valiant attempt by the fielder at point. Full outstretched dive, but not able to corral it. And to add insult to injury, it runs away down the hill for 4. So a very expensive over, not what Captain Usman Rafiq would have had in mind when he came on to bowl the 5th. The end of the over, the score is 37 without loss. $37 without loss. Of course, we're absolutely happy to be bringing you the Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship presented by Sunoco. Our official sponsor is DAFA News. And speaking of news, Pratir, the news is that there is a bowling change from the Forest End. The young all-rounder Matthew Trump, who's been a real find this season so far for the Houston Hurricanes, will be taking up the attack.
Yep, and pretty standard stuff for him. We've seen Sakleen Hyder up to the stumps all tournament long, and that's really helped him settle on a line and length, because the batsmen know that if they advance out of the crease and they miss that ball, they're walking back to that pavilion 9 out of 10 times. 9.5 out of 10 times, I should say.
Here's Trump. Oh, this is going to be a moral victory for Trump, but 4 runs for the Lone Star Athletics. Reaching forward, just driving at that one, driving away from his body, to be fair, Shine Jahangir, and gets a thick under edge. Looking at the replay here, Trump delivers from very close to the stumps and wide and just thick under edge. Gets, I believe, through between the legs of the batter, or between the legs of the keeper, rather, and runs away down the hill for 4.
It looks like I put the mockers on Sakleen Hyder for a second. That one up in the air. Just manages to evade the fielder, and they run back for 2 as well. A bit of everything on that delivery. I was about to say that I just about put the mockers on Sakleen Hyder. Just let that one through his hands there. Next ball in the air from Shayan Jahangir. Just evades the fielder running back from covers.
Wow.
And almost a run out at the keeper's end as well.
A little bit of excitement there. Lofted drive. Didn't really have control of it. But no risk in terms of being able to loft it over the infield. But 6 runs already in the over, so relatively expensive start here by Matthew Trump. And Shahan Jahangir looking for the late cut, almost guided it straight to short third man. Had that man been in a normal catching position at slip, he very well could have taken a wicket.
Yeah, and I think Shahan Jahangir must be kicking himself a little bit there. That ball short and wide, probably there for more of a slap or a cut shot, you would say.
Trump, that is a great delivery. Yorker length, right on the stumps, pitching probably right on the popping crease. So that's a good comeback for the young man. So the first 2 balls in this over yielded 6 runs. He's done a good job to bring things back here from the brink in the last 2.
And exactly what the Houston Hurricanes would have wanted. A good start to the over. Not necessarily in terms of runs, but in terms of the deliveries he has bowled. Created a few chances. Is that one again outside the off stump? Another play, another miss by Shahan Jahangir.
Sort of late on that shot, Shahan Jahangir. So Matthew Trump seems to always make things happen. It's really interesting that whether it's coming off the edge for 4 or yesterday you see a couple of times where the batters inside edged him onto their stumps, but he always seems to be the type of bowler that can make something happen. Short delivery, looking for the reverse scoop. Not being able to pull it off on this occasion, Shahan Jahangir. So that is the end of the over. That is the end of the power play. At the end of 6, the score is 4-3 without loss. Okay, so the captain brought himself on for 1 over, 1 expensive over, 15 runs. Usman Rafiq bowling the 5th. And so now to bowl the 7th, rather than continue himself, he has given the ball to his other prominent off-spinner, the man from Barbados, Ashley Nurse.
Yep, and something the Hurricanes are missing this year is Karthik Gattapalli. We saw him turn the ball away from the right-handers, and he bowled really, really well as well last season. I believe 3rd or 4th highest wicket taker in the division, if I'm not mistaken. This season he's not with them, and that's really left a hole with the spinner who can turn the ball away from the right-handers, as we saw in that 5th over.
Boy, it cannot be overstated how big a loss of Gattapalli the Hurricanes have had to endure. You're exactly right. The ability to turn the ball away from the right-handers is a huge asset that they're currently missing in this lineup. His Nurse, very full. Oh, look at this. Just defended. Almost an outside edge, it looks like. Running down to short third man, maybe. A little bit hard to see from our angle, but certainly beating the batter. All ends up. Starting out with a dot ball here is Ashley Nurse.
A good ball to start there.
And here is again, slow through the air and swept away. Now there is protection in the deep because of the power play being finished. And just a single. So Nurse starting out in very much more quiet fashion. Obviously, as a spinner, you want to be able to operate in the power outside of the power play with the protection in the deep. Here he is again, slow through the air, chipped in the air, straight to short mid-wicket, and the first wicket goes down. Oh my goodness. Shahan Jahangir, the best batter for the entire season for the Lone Star Athletics, succeeds only in chipping a simple catch to mid-wicket. The first wicket goes down, scores 4-4 for 1.
That's exactly what you want if you're Houston Hurricanes, exactly what you don't want if you're a Lone Star Athletics fan.
Boy, you see the disappointment in Shahan Jahangir's face. He's walking dejectedly back to the pavilion. Not what he wanted to have happen. So he fails with the bat for the first time this season. He is dismissed
12.
For 12. So far this year, his lowest score had been 45. So this certainly is something that he would regret. First wicket going down, scores 4-4 for 1.
And we see Firepower out, firepower in. Nitish Kumar, Captain Canada, some do call him. Now playing for the Lone Star Athletics, back, has had a decent season, probably again not as well as he would have liked. Really hoped to make amends so far what's happened, and on this type of pitch it's what he really likes to bat on, something that isn't necessarily easy to bat on. He enjoys a challenge, and hopefully that brings out the best in him today. And Ashley Nurse, a good start to the over so far. We saw the first ball beating, I'm not sure if it was the inside or the outside edge, beating Thakalain Haider as well. And the next ball swept away for a single. The third ball chipped straight short mid wicket. First ball in to Nitish Kumar. Down the leg side. And called a wide by umpire Rakesh Jain. I think the first time they've had to stretch their arms today.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Good disciplined bowling overall. The only extras would be that one wide as well as the no ball. And as we say that, another consecutive wide delivery. So 2 straight wides here bowled by Ashley Nurse. You remember Ashley Nurse yesterday having a little bit of trouble locating that radar. Bowled a few wides yesterday also. So he's guilty of bowling the first 2 wides up the innings. And this is worked down behind square. They come back for 2. That should be an easy 2 in the end. As ball, the throw comes back in to the striker's end. And they run through for an easy 2.
And once again, you see that ball angling down the leg side. I mean, there is protection, short fine leg, and a deep backward square. But that first ball is probably perfect from Ashley Nurse, just on off stump, just outside off stump, I would say. Turning in this one full, driven down to long on. Keeps it down to a single.
So you bring Ashley Nurse in to sort of calm things down. It was almost to the point where Hamza Bangash and Shahin Jahangir were looking dangerous. Shahin Jahangir has been removed. And Nurse now looking to close this over out. Ends up just conceding what you could potentially say was an unnecessary run that went straight to the fielder at mid-wicket. Should have done better to clean up. Ended up not doing so. So that is the end of the 7th over. 7 runs coming from the 7th. 50 is up with that last single. After 7, the score is 50 for 1.
1, 2, 3.
50 for 1 after 7. Nitish Kumar just new to the crease. He's on 3 from 2. Hamza Bangash, the imposing big hitter at the top of the order. 28 from 23, and Hamza Bangash himself will be on strike facing Matthew Trump. Just outside the off stump. You think he would have had the opportunity to open his arms up and throw the bat at that one. Had he played a more aggressive shot, it very easily could have cleared that field at backward point, in which case it certainly would have been 4 runs. But that's the dot ball to start things here in the 8th.
And something I want to point out, Brian, is we've seen 2 balls so far. Hamza Bangash, we'll see the third one right now.
Well, this is great running. Absolutely great running. Just tip and run stuff. Again, it's a measure of confidence and of communication between the 2 batters. When you can just drop the ball no more than 5 or so yards away from the bat and still end up running through for a single.
And something I was about to say is the last ball of the last over right after the wicket and the first ball of this over were both balls that Hamza Bangash, had Shahin Jahangir still been in, he would have put it away. But I think just that wicket has changed his mindset, possibly just to rebuilding, which if you're the Lone Star Athletics, you probably want Hamza Bangash to just go in and express himself for however long he bats.
I completely agree with you. Play his natural game. This is just drop down to third man. They look for 2. I don't think they'll get there. And in fact, good reaction by the fielder coming in off the boundary at third man. That is Ninad Nimbalkar. Just making sure to attack that ball in the outfield. And again, for you youngsters watching, that is how you prevent, aside from going for two, is attack that ball. He does exactly what he needed to have done there on that occasion, Nibakar. This ball now defended down to long on for a single. So you get the sense that the runs are being scored a little bit more regularly at this point. This pair, you don't need to hit big to score something in the range of 6 or 7 runs and over. And then you're continuing to set the table for the bigger hitters later on. I think that's exactly the way that the Lone Star Athletics would be approaching this innings. And just defended into the offside this time for no run.
Looked like a cutter from Matthew Trump. And if we think about his role, it's very similar to one that Luxembourg played for the Athletics last season. Obviously called the Austin Athletics last season. And he's really an X-factor bowler, I guess you could say. Something that they haven't had this season in their attack. And Matthew Trump is really providing that for the Hurricanes right now.
Last delivery worked down the ground. Maybe just a slight thought of having 2, but they settled for 1. So good over overall by Trump. 4 runs come from that over. The last 5 overs have yielded 38 runs. Overall, the score is 54 for 1.
Whenever you talk.
So 54 for 1. 8 overs bowled. Ashlyn Nurse to continue has bowled 1 over so far. Bowling to Nitish Kumar. Quick single taken and throw coming into the keeper's end. And that's a well-executed run. Just drop and run stuff. As I mentioned, Pratir, the opportunity is there to get singles if you're aggressive between the wickets.
Yep, and that's something both these batsmen have done really well in the last 10, 12 deliveries they've been in. Whenever there is a single, they've really looked to take on.
Just defending it back down the wicket, no run. So if you are Nurse, you're bowling accurately generally. 1 for 8 so far. You just want to make sure, is this an edge? Appeal, no, not given. Little hard to see. I was slightly blinded or shielded from the actual play by the fielder on the infield there. It almost looked like it came off an outside edge, but umpire Rakesh Jain says no. So Nurse back into the attack and bowling, and this one is slapped away to deep square leg just for a single.
Yeah,
so a little bit happening here.
That's more of what you want to see from Hamza Bangash if you're an athletics fan, because he's really sent in there for an aggressor's role. And last few deliveries he wasn't really doing that. This one pushed down to long on by Nitish Kumar, who looks very comfortable at the moment. 7 off 7 deliveries, and he's got a single off every delivery, I do believe, in his innings.
So 57 for 1 with 1 ball remaining. This is now slapped into the outfield. Diving attempt down there, deep extra cover, not able to cut that off. He will have wanted to have done better than that, the fielder, deep extra cover. So 4 runs to close out the 9th over. Ashley Nurse is not happy. Score moves on to 61 for 1. Back here to the Prairie View Cricket Complex. Matthew Trump into his third over. Oh, thick outside the edge, and it's going to be 4. Oh, they say fortune favors the brave. And aggressively going after that ball was Nitish Kumar. Thick outside the edge, racing away through the vacant slip cordon, and runs away for 4.
Yeah, and if you're Matthew Trump, you probably feel unlucky on 2 occasions there. The first ball of your spell, very, very similar thing, except there's no bat. And this one, again, taking the outside edge. Obviously, there's no fielder behind the keeper. He's bowled very tidily so far, only given 6 runs off his first 2 overs plus 4 byes. And then even now his figures are still pretty remarkable. 2.1 overs, 10 runs, no wickets. And at 17 years old, that's remarkable stuff.
Tremendous bowling by the youngster. Here's the next delivery. In the air, cutaway down to backward square. They'll get 1. Do they come back for second? Yes, they do. Throw coming into the keeper's end. High and overthrown, and they'll run back for the 3rd. The throw in turn coming now to the keeper's end again. So 3 more runs. As you see, Hamza Bangash on that occasion applauding his partner. And my apologies earlier. I think I said Nitish Kumar. That in fact was Hamza Bangash who got those runs according to the scorecard. But either way, another 3 runs to the total. Here's Trump again. Ooh, that is well bowled outside the line of off stump. A big wave and a miss by Nitish Kumar. And that runs away. They have a little bit of an issue with the scorecard. The batter on strike is now Hamza Bangash, I believe. Yep. Anyway, we'll sort that out shortly. Oh, another delivery outside the line of off stump. This time it's a little too far outside for the liking of umpire Owen Brown. So another extra gets added to the total.
Yeah, we'll need to get that scorecard adjusted shortly. But I think with the better throw from the outfield, that could have been very close. We see a little pause in the break. Not sure what Matthew Trump wants. Looks like a change of shoes, possibly. Looked like you're struggling for grip earlier. So we'll have a short delay. But I think with the better throw from the outfield, that could have been a very, very close, because Nitish Kumar was a little bit slow to get off the mark.
Yeah, not exactly sure what the delay is. Matthew Trump actually running off of the playing surface. I think you're right, Pratir. Maybe an issue with his shoes. Owen Brown, the umpire, is going to be one who always wants to keep the game moving. So if he has allowed Matthew Trump to go off, and in fact, looking in the dugout area now, you see him changing his shoes. So that clearly was the issue. Coming back onto the field, of course, umpires do not like delays, but they also do not like players to be playing without the proper protective equipment. And one of the easiest ways for a fast bowler or a seamer to injure themselves is to have shoes that do not offer enough protection or enough grip when they plant that front foot. Always something to be aware of. So I think umpire Owen Brown completely within his right to allow Matthew Trump to run off the field and have his wardrobe malfunction fixed. You know, you might be a little too young to know about wardrobe malfunctions in Super Bowls, and we'll save that for another day.
Anyways, back to the action.
Your mom and dad don't know what I'm talking about. Anyways, so 3 balls remaining. We're halfway through the 10th over. 6-9 for 1 is the score, and Matthew Trump to continue. And he is facing Nitish Kumar.
Is it?
Actually, again, this is a little bit confusing. It is, in fact, Hamza Bangash. And so the scorecard continues to be wrong. It says that Nitish Kumar is on strike. That's actually Hamza Bangash. But either way, it's a dot ball. So 2 balls remaining here in the 10th.
Just have our scorers updated. But this is a much better start than we saw yesterday. Hurricanes were... lightning work there behind the stump by Sakleen
I
Hyder.
tell you, that is a tremendous piece of skill. That delivery was taken from a seamer, from a pace bowler. A big swipe and miss by the batter. And look at this replay. Just able to collect there and immediately whip the bails off. Just a tremendous amount of a piece of work from Sakleen Hyder. This is chipped down to deep mid wicket for a single. And that should be the last ball here in the 10th. So we're exactly halfway through the innings. At the halfway point, the score is 70 for 1.
My son, he's so soft-spoken. Oh, yeah! Everyone says he's so good-looking, and he never forgets to call.
Hi, Mom.
Born for your true self. The 2022 Tundra. Toyota. Let's go places.
Welcome back here to Prairie View Live Action. We see Ashley Nurse returning and another ball just sliding down the leg side. And we do have with me Munir joining me for the first time. Brian Walters just taking a short break.
Good afternoon, Pratir. Exciting action so far. As usual, the Athletics openers getting them off to a flyer. Shaheen Jahangir missing out in many ways. As we said, his lowest score this season has been up in the 40s, so that's been a big success for the Hurricanes. But Hamza Bangash is looking ominous. He has played some pretty powerful shots, and he's looking to continue on as he faces Ashley Nurse. And he comes down the track again, wisely bowled by Nurse, pulling the length back. I think Hamza gave him signs of coming down the track, and intelligently so, Ashley Nurse was able to pull his length back. Almost had him stumped, but Hamza does well just to chop it, and here comes the next ball. And again, that wonderful line and length, Pratir. Ashley Nurse has settled into a great line and length, except those couple of wides down the leg side.
Yep, that's exactly what the Houston Hurricanes would want after that one over of Usman Rafiq going for 15. And we see Ashley in once again. Lot fuller this time. And Hamza Bangash attempting a big drive, gets a thick outside edge to point. So far, a very good over by Ashley Nurse. Other than those wides and a 2-leg by, has been 3-dot balls.
The spinners, since they've come on, they're racing through the overs. The first 6 overs, the power play, seemed to take an eternity, and now 5 overs have been bowled in no time as this is swept. It's their 2 fielders converging, and the catch is taken. Just literally feet inside the cow corner boundary, and that's a huge wicket. A spell of pressure was built by Ashley Nurse. A couple of good deliveries kept him on strike for good 3 to 4 balls, and out came the release shot, and Hamza Bangash perishes after a wonderful innings of 36.
Yep, and a good catch taken there at deep mid-wicket. It was, I'd say, maybe 2-3 feet off the rope. So he had to judge where he was, then take the catch, make sure he takes the catch, and then judge where he was, I should say. And Hamza Bangash going back for 36 off 39 deliveries after looking very ominous early on.
Rightly said, Pratir, and he has, I think both the openers have set up a great platform for these last 9 to 10 overs with the likes of Janisar Khan, who's walking in now, can tell from that famous ponytail of his that's recognized across the circuit. And then you've got Siddesh to come in. So there's plenty of batting. They've got some promising youngsters in the lineup too. And Nitish is looking good on 14 of 9 deliveries. So this is going to be a crucial partnership and a stage of play as the Athletics are looking to capitalize on the good start given by their openers.
Yeah, and something we'll have to look at is how Janisar Khan comes out and plays. We've seen him be very, very aggressive at times. Even from the first delivery, comes out and really looks to play his shots. Whereas today, the pitch is not easy to bat on. So we'll have to see how he comes out and bats. But knowing how he bats, there's not going to be very many balls that he looks to hang around and defend.
Yeah, and these seem to be the ideal circumstances, at least given how the Athletics see Janisar and the role he plays in this team. They want him to come around the middle of the inning stage and then see it through to the end, build a partnership and get them towards the big slog overs in the end. And that's allowed appeal, but it seemed pretty high. I think it hit Nitish on the thigh pad. And that brings the over to an end. After 11, it's 73 for 2.
One, two, three.
Welcome back to live action at Prairie View. You see Matthew Trump bowling a 4-over spell. Not something you see very often in T20s. One bowler bowling 4 straight overs. And we were just discussing it off air. Hamza Bangash, in a knock of 36 off 39 deliveries, he hit 5 fours and a 6. So he hit 20 runs off 4s and a 6. So 26 runs in boundaries, which left 10 runs. We'll get back to that point after this ball. This one way wide outside the off stump. A good take there by Sakalain Haider. And Matthew Trump just seems to be losing his radar slightly, maybe just a little bit tired in this Texas heat.
And coming to Trump, I think that's been the script for the Hurricanes. They've bowled out Trump around the 12th, the 13th over mark in every single game he has come on. And I think that might have to do with the fact that the death overs are always bowled by the likes of Sohail Tanvir and Ilyas.
Now keeper back into Johnny. First ball defended into the leg side. A single. Coming back to the point I was making, Hamza Bangash, 36 off 39 balls, hit 26 of his runs in boundaries, 26 off 6. So if we take away those boundaries, in 33 balls, he only scored 10 runs. And that is something, again, which needs to be worked on. It's something that has happened a lot to him over the course of the season, that when he's played long, it continues to happen. This one driven to wide, long on, will only be a single. Good comeback here by Matthew Trump after that wide, very wide outside the off stump.
That's a good observation, Pratir, when it comes to Hamza. He, of course, has played some great innings ever since he has been pushed to the top of the order, but it does seem that his game almost at times runs off a script where he's looking either for the big shots or just blocking the ball, but not really looking to rotate the strike in between, as this is played a pretty full ball, almost landing on the popping trees. And Janisar, with the bottom hand opening up, pushes it to cover and gets to the other end. So, Pratir, for your age, you're making some pretty intense observations about the game. Apart from just playing, do you also wear the analyst hat at times, as this is pushed to long on by Nitish?
Let's say I don't necessarily play the analyst hat. I like to follow the game. I guess we can call it that.
So I must say you're following it way more than any usual follower does, which is always good on your part. It's gonna help your game on the longer run, just reading things between the line. And again, a foolish delivery, almost a half volley. He doesn't really ping it, so it doesn't beat the mid-off inside the circle. They still get through for a single. And coming back to that discussion we were just having, I think as players, it's very important to be able to analyze your game and also come to a conclusion or realize what you need to do in order to move forward. A lot of players at times are just not doing it. And as a player, you kind of need to understand that it's not just about scoring runs and taking wickets, but also outside of the game, when you've played a game, you come out and reflect and find those learnings which will always keep moving you forward. As the strike is again rotated, a good steady over from Matthew Tromp to end a spell as the over comes to an end.
If I tell you the easiest way to maximize your tax savings, get bookkeeping done, and having a better financial position in the market is to call 1-800-250-8596. So what are you waiting for? Just pick up the phone and call us now.
Into the leg side for a quick single there. Ashley Nurse also bowling. Captain Usman Rafiq really wants to get a hold on this innings before bringing back the likes of a Sohail Tanvir, maybe even himself or Mohammad Ilyas.
Most definitely. I think we're getting to a point where spinners and Trump usually have filled this middle stage of the innings, and as we approach over number 15, 16, we have typically had 2 overs from Sohail Tanvir and 2 from Ilyas closing the innings, which has been quite steady as far as Hurricanes are concerned. Batting's never been, bowling in fact has not been a major concern for them this year. It's been the batting. The chasing of the 120s and 130s at times has proved to be their Achilles heel at times, as that's defended by Janissar off the front foot. Nicely done. Looks like he's getting quite a bit of turn off the wicket. We saw a lot of turn yesterday. I don't think they're getting as much turn today, but still plenty to keep the batsman guessing. Janissar nicely works it to, it's almost between long on and cow corner. Ramiz comes in from long on, but they run through for a couple. Good wrist work from Janissar.
Yeah, and we see there Sohail Tanvir, little bit age possibly catching up to him. Didn't seem like he wanted to get the dive out. But I mean, the way he's bowling right now, I think, as we see a well left in a T20 game, in the 13th over, my goodness, that is one of the first times, if not the only time I've seen a leave well left in the 13th over of a game.
And from what I did see, we were discussing turn. It didn't turn very sharply, but it did a little bit. And I think it almost brushed the top of off stump. Almost. And as this is knocked to long on again, Ramiz does the fielding and they go across for one more run. It's almost like the phase of the game where boxers are not ready to land the big punches. They're just biding time as the over comes to an end. After 13, it's 84 for 2.
Back live at PV5, Prairie View Cricket Complex, the home of cricket, possibly in the USA, especially the home of cricket for the Houston Hurricanes, that's for sure. And we see Captain Usman Rafiq bringing himself back on to bowl the 14th over, replacing Matthew Tromp after another tidy spell for him. 4 overs, 22 runs, no wickets. And let's see how Janissar Khan plays. So far, 6 off 8. And he's looked to bide his time, look at what the pitch is doing, but that's definitely not how he usually plays. So we'll have to see how he goes about his business now.
Kind of short and wide, but didn't seem to rise up. The Prairie View Cricket Complex, also the home of the USA national team. Talking of which, I woke up to the game, the third place game in the World T20 qualifiers against PNG, which we lost by 5 runs. Then I switched over to the India-England game, hoping for something from Virat Kohli. And that's nicely flighted. A wide hoik by Janissar doesn't really connect. So coming to that game, Kohli disappoints, but Rishabh Pant closes the innings. A wonderful game again. But at least in this game, we have 2 local teams. So regardless of what the result is, we always end on the winning side, Prathir.
True. That is true. That one looked like a carom ball possibly from Usman. Pitched and turned away from him. And again, takes an outside edge, goes to point. Good fielding there by Ramiz Raja. Keeps it to a dot ball. And again, Janissar Khan doesn't look very comfortable at the crease.
He's made a good comeback, Usman, on the back of his 15-run over. 3 dot balls. So, like we said, dot balls bring out a release shot. Let's see what Janissar does now. And he's given an easy full toss, which he gives it straight to the fielder at mid-wicket. Just as I was saying, 3 dot balls, and you might get a release shot. A full toss on his pads, out of frustration, hits it to the only fielder inside the circle in that 30 yards. Disappointing end to Janissar Khan as Kamran Sheikh walks in.
And you've got to be wondering, if you're a Lone Star Athletics fan, what has your batting department been doing this season? Your middle order hasn't clicked all season long. And once again, Janissar Khan throws away innocuous delivery, I guess you could say. We'll get the scoring corrected. It shows Nitish Kumar got out right now. It's not the case, but I mean, that was possibly the simplest catch the short mid-wicket fielder has taken in his entire life.
Yeah, and it was a nice low catch. The ball was dipping on him. It almost seemed like Janissar didn't really connect that full toss, got the toe end, and could only manage to hit it to that fielder, the only guy inside the 30-yard circle. So Janissar perishes, but Kamran Sheikh, who's known for his improvisation skills, he's also somebody who brings out the reverse scoop, the slog sweeps, the conventional sweeps, and also the hits down the ground. So he could be a handy batsman walking in at this stage of the innings.
Yeah, and once again, we'll get the scorecard corrected shortly. I think the score is having a little bit of a confusion out there. I'm not quite sure what's going on. We'll get that corrected shortly.
We've had a couple of hiccups with the scorecard today. Hopefully they resolve this pretty soon. Like I was saying, you cannot miss Janissar Khan out in the middle. The hairdo gives it away, so hopefully we get that fixed pretty soon as Kamran takes strike. And another full toss, and he plays all over it. My word, what is going on? A full toss, and he tries to sweep. As I was saying, Kamran Sheikh is known for his conventional sweeps and the scoops. But I think when you're served a full toss, the very first delivery, instead of playing it down the ground and getting off strike, you try one of those shots and you totally miss it. Almost yorks him. I don't think it hits the stumps on the full, but it lands inside the crease and crashes into middle and leg. And Usman Rafiq is going to be on a hat trick with 2 wickets of 2 full tosses. Yeah. Talk of having a lucky day.
I mean, I guess you could say he had now got his luck. We saw in the first over he bowled. We see that again on replay. My word, that was a full toss, all right. The first over he bowled, he got hit with the wind, and the last ball of his over, drop catch. And then now he's come back. He's bowled 3 dot balls, and then bowled 2 full tosses, and he's gotten 2 wickets off 2 full tosses. So, and again, you have to wonder, if you're the Austin Athletics, what is your batting department? What is your middle order doing? You have all these big names, Janissar Khan, you have Kamran Sheikh. Kamran Sheikh has yet to score, I think, more than 20 runs in 1 innings this season. And again, Lone Star in a spot of bother, basically out of nowhere. They're 84 for 2 cruising before this over started. Now they're 84 for 4 and yet to get a run off this over.
The way the season has been going for these 2 powerhouses, it's almost a battle of self-destructiveness. And it keeps getting worse. The Hurricanes batting order have pulled off such miracles themselves day in and day out. They literally from 100 for 1, requiring about 20 odd runs to win the game. They lost a cluster of wickets and ended up on the losing side. And Hurricanes now find themselves with the tide of luck. The Athletics got off to a good start today, and the platform was set, but the wickets they've lost is going to hurt them badly.
Yeah, and I can guarantee you Coach Kuldeep Patel walking around the ground would not be pleased with his men. And hold on, I'd like to point out there's 2 slips for the hat-trick ball.
It's captain to captain. Siddesh has walked out to the middle, and he's facing Usman Rafiq, who's on a hat-trick. Here he comes, Usman. 2 slips, a short third, a point. Here's the hat-trick ball. Oh, and he lets it go outside the off stump. My goodness me. And a successful over comes to the end.
Double wicket maiden, I will point out, in the 14th over of a T20. 14th over. 6 overs left. Hurricanes are 84 for 4.
What's up, Doug? What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
Back live as we enter over number 15. Siddesh and Nitish are at the crease. Literally within an over, they find the tables to have turned. The scoring rate is still 6 and over. I won't say it's very healthy, but the surface probably we have seen in the last couple of days or so, as Brian also pointed out earlier, that it doesn't look like one of those 160, 170 wickets. And teams have to reassess the conditions, and maybe 120, 130 like Dallas Mustangs proved yesterday might be a good score. So conservation of wickets and making sure they utilize those 20 overs is going to be really crucial.
Oh, and we've seen Ninad Nimalkar coming in, replacing Ashley Nurse at his end. I believe it's more medium pace, if I'm not mistaken. Sakleen Haider up to the stumps. And that first ball, Nitish Kumar missing a late cut. Very wide outside the off stump. Again, well kept by Sakleen Haider standing up. And some arm movement for umpire Rakesh Jain. And we'll have to see how these two batsmen go about it. We saw Nitish Kumar was looking quite fluent, but with those wickets falling, he may have to rethink how he goes about his innings.
Ninad seems to be the kind of medium pace that might get decent perches on this wicket. Almost reminds me of Siddesh on the other end from the batting side. Siddesh prefers to bowl a lot of those medium pacers, uses his wrist quite well, and Ninad seems to be a bowler in the same mold. But Pratir, Usman has got an interesting one because, like we were saying, they're approaching that phase of the innings. I'll come to this point after this ball. Short and wide, it's nicely guided to deep point, sweeper cover for a single. So, like we were saying, the Hurricanes have always played to a template of getting Sohail Tanvir and Ilyas in the last 4 overs. They close the innings. But given the over Usman just bowled, and he's got 2 more overs to go, he would be tempted to bowl himself. Nicely played to short third, and they go across for a single again. Yes, Pratir.
And this is looking better for the Athletics. I mean, the last over, I'd say there were a few opportunities to score. At least two of the deliveries were scoreable, and for some reason those ended up being wickets. See Siddesh beaten outside the off stump on a drive, possibly a little bit of movement away. But coming back to what I was saying, 2 full toss in the last over, 2 wickets. Quite fortunate for Usman Rafiq. And that was a double wicket maiden, which the exact opposite of what you want if you're 84 for 2 in going towards the back half, both your batsmen set at the crease.
As Ninad comes in again and it's chipped straight back. Like I was saying earlier, that he's the bowler in the mold who might get some purchase. It might slow down. It looked like Sidesh was early in the shot. The ball seemed to stop on the pitch, and all he could manage to do was just hit it back to Ninad, who picks up his first wicket. So interesting change, which has paid dividends for the Hurricanes.
Yep, and the end of 15 overs, it is 88 for 5. Athletics in a spot of bother going towards the back half. And after the short break, we will see a double change in commentary. Brian Walters coming back with Mustafa Hemani.
Welcome back to the Prairie View Cricket Complex. They say great bowlers hunt in pairs. Well, the two bowlers who have wrecked the innings for the Lone Star Athletics are Pratir Mehta and Munir Majid. Well done, boys. Mustafa Hemani, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Brian.
So your boys would have been encouraged by the developments of the last few overs. Lone Star Athletics were looking very good a few overs ago, but a flurry of wickets in the last few overs have them reeling at 88 for 5.
That's right, especially after how Shayan and Hamza started in a brief stay partnership between Nitish and Hamza, and then all of a sudden a double wicket maiden by Usman, and then that's another one right there. Was that really needed?
Boy, that you have to question the approach. That was a reverse sweep. The first delivery being faced by Nitish Kumar, facing up to Usman Rafiq, chose to go for the reverse sweep. Obviously premeditated shot, and only succeeding in playing across the line of a straight ball. Gets his off stump knocked back, and the 6th wicket goes down for the Lone Star Athletics. Scores 88 for 6.
Completely Lone Star Athletics in self-destruction mode here, Brian. Especially when they lost the 5th wicket, I thought that Nitish Kumar and Sidesh might stabilize the innings, but then Sidesh in the previous over cotton ball to Ninad Nimbalkar, who's playing today in place of Munib Chaudhary from yesterday's team, and then right away Usman. What a great spell he's bowling. 3 wickets in last 7 balls and a double wicket maiden. So good things happening here for Houston Hurricanes.
Just great bowling so far from Captain Usman Rafiq. His first over was very expensive. Excuse me, he came on during the power play, went for 15 runs, but he's more than made up for it in his last 7 deliveries. No runs scored off of him, and has taken 3 wickets. So tremendous effort here so far by the captain, leading from the front. And the Lone Star Athletics are struggling at 88 for 6.
And in comes a very young talent for Lone Star Athletics, Arya Kanata, joining the new batsman here. Both batsmen new here.
Boy, you just have to be encouraged by the fact that a major objective of these minor league teams is to promote the youngsters. Young Arya Kananta from right here in the Houston area. Excellent young cricketer. Lost this one in the air, and he's off the mark. He will not worry that that was potentially a catchable ball. He is off the mark in the minor league match. Good going by young Arya.
That's right, and for any new batter, it's very difficult to play, especially if you're not even from Houston. So this new signing of Lone Star Athletics, Masood Haq, who's taking guard, about to face the first delivery, I think this is what the Houston Hurricane needs to do. They need to go for the kill right here, especially when they've just gotten 4 quick wickets, and Usman is bowling a beautiful spell here. They need to put some more closing fielders in catching positions and try to get them out cheaply for the remaining 4 wickets, and it remains to be seen what kind of strategy Lone Star Athletics would do from this point on.
Very full, driven straight to mid-off. An overthrow. Should have been a dot ball, but ends up conceding a single.
And that's not good fielding and not good backup there.
No.
I would not blame the person who threw the ball because Arya was sort of halfway down the pitch, and the fielder from Fine Leg didn't come in time to back it up and puts Arya back on strike.
Usman Rafiq to Arya Kanantha.
And that's gone.
Right back in the air to him, and another wicket goes down. Arya Kanantha probably playing just a second too early, playing slightly away from his body and chipping a return catch to Usman Rafiq, who is the chief destroyer in the innings so far. Another wicket goes down. The score is now 90 for 7.
And look at that, Usman Rafiq, 4th wicket, a cotton ball, and exactly what the doctor ordered for Houston Hurricanes. Mind you, they have their own batting troubles. As
we thought this yesterday this time.
To sum it up, yesterday's game, they started their innings where they needed 6 and over, and they needed 6 of the last ball. So their batting struggles have continued throughout the season. Their bowling unit have actually done really well, and they've improved as the season progressed. Yesterday, 121 Dallas Mustangs, and right now 90 for 7.
I completely would agree with that. Of course, Jay Desai now the batter going in, and a lot happening very quickly here, Mustafa, but I wanted to get this in. Our friend Nate Hayes in North Carolina providing some feedback, asking us, and I'm going to ask you this question, to compare the two keepers in this game. Both excellent keepers with bats and behind the stumps. I would love to hear your thoughts on a comparison between those two keepers.
Yeah,
of course, we're talking about Sakleen Hader and lost my train of thought.
Cheyenne Jahangir,
thank you.
So Cheyenne, both these players have played in their respective countries in the domestic circuit. In fact, Cheyenne played for when domestic cricket in Pakistan was departmental cricket. He played for PIA for a certain time. A very good batsman, very stylish and attacking batsman. And Sakleen, on the other hand, played in UAE. He's a very unorthodox player. He tries to plays a lot of switch hit, reverse sweeps, but I think Cheyenne might be slightly better in the batting department, and Sakleen definitely a much better keeper.
Boy, what a great over by the captain. Only conceding 2 runs and taking another wicket. So at the end of 16, my goodness, you would have to think that if you are the Houston Hurricanes, you have to be pleased with the way things are right now. The Lone Star Athletics are 90 for 7. We'll be right back.
Took that last corner pretty quick.
Sir, I need 1 hand on the roof, 1 hand on the pump.
Timeout for Sunoco Go Rewards.
Keep pumping.
With new Sunoco Go Rewards, when you fuel, you save, because rewards come first.
90 for 7. As a reminder, we're pleased to bring you the 2022 Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship presented by Sunoco. And our official sponsor is Dafa News. And bowling coming again from the Forest End appears to be Ninad Nimbalkar, who continues. This should be his second over.
That's right, and there's no need to think about bringing in Ilyas, or maybe Sohail Tanveer for sure might get a bowl here, but since Ninad got a wicket, and as you can see, it's not easy to play these medium pacers.
No.
Ninad bowling a very good line outside the off stump. He's got his fielders in place. And with these new 2 batters, it's not easy to hit, especially when the ball is not going to come on the bat fast and on the bounce. So Ninad taking full advantage of the situation. And Usman still has 1 more over to go.
Yep. Of course, a collapse of gigantic proportions in progress here for the Lone Star Athletics. And a little bit of a yes, no. While this collapse is ongoing, I do want to ask you one other question. And I'll ask it to you from Nate Hayes again. And I'll ask you the question after this delivery. I think it will be one that you may have some thoughts on, Mustafa. Knocked into the outfield for a single, fielder coming in to clean up from the boundaries. So the question is, Janisar Khan is in a slump. In order to release himself from his slump, should he cut his beard or cut his hair? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think first of all, I slightly disagree with the question. He is not necessarily in a slump. If you remember the game where they lost, I'll say more. When Lone Star Athletics lost in the super over, Janisar Khan was actually the batsman who brought them back from a position where nobody gave a chance to Lone Star Athletics in that game. He came and played a blinder, and even on the last ball when 1 run was needed, that brilliant catch the fielder took. So I think he's been batting okay, but then again his bowling has been really good. He in fact opened the bowling in one of the games and just gave away like less than 20 runs in the 4 overs. So it's just, I think it's very difficult in a T20 cricket for any batter to go out unless you're batting in top 3 to be consistent scorer. For Janisar Khan, he's probably batted on every number today. He came number 4. And then before on previous games he'd probably come 5, 6 and even 7, so it's really not easy to establish yourself.
Quick single taken on the infield. Ashley Nurse prowling in the covers, not able to prevent them running through for that quick single. So another single taken, 2 runs from that over. The score is 92 for 7. We'll be right back.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस, इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले। हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
Of the question from Nate Hayes. Nate is undeterred, and Nate thinks that Janisar Khan should go with the Fu Manchu look.
I actually like the hair and the beard both. It's a very difficult. I think it suits him. So, but yeah, I mean, if he decides to lose his hair, I mean, we have a couple of people here in the comm box who can use some.
There will be no hair jokes here, none whatsoever, as this ball is punched down the ground. Let's change the subject from here. Usman Rafiq, the captain, will be closing out his spell. He's bowled a brilliant spell despite the fact that he conceded 15 in his first over. His last 2 overs have only gone for 2 runs, I believe, and he's taken 4 wickets. Oh, thick outside edge. But that will not prevent a quick single as Sohail Tanvir, even though that ball went to his strong side, it took him a week and a half.
That's actually out. Umpire just gave it out, and that's
out. Oh, I completely missed that. Looking at the replay here, wrapped on the pad. Oh, it was an LBW appeal. Thought it came off the edge. Looking at the screen now, the umpire Owen Brown with the raised finger. So Usman Rafiq continues another dream spell. My goodness, 5 for him. 5 for 18 overall. What a brilliant spell by the captain. And the Lone Star Athletics slipped to 93 for 8.
And as Munir informed us, they were 73 for 1 and 93 for 7, so 8. So they've lost 7 wickets of 20 runs. And 5 of those wickets taken by the skipper himself, Usman Rafiq, his fifer, first fifer in this championship. So kudos to Usman Rafiq, and he's been leading from the front throughout this season with the ball. So let's say Houston Hurricanes.
Oh my goodness. Of course, both teams need to be able to play, so you don't want, if you're Houston, especially after a really crushing loss last night, to think that you're ahead. You still want to put your head down and, as they say in track, run through the tape. But as the captain, and particularly leading from the front, you have to be pleased with the results of this inning so far.
So, Brian, would you call this a crosstown rivalry between the two teams, or would you call the 71 West?
I would call it the I-10/71 or maybe the 290 rivalry. That works better. The 290 rivalry.
Because they used to be Austin, now they're Lone Star Athletics, so that might cover the...
Also, I lived in Houston for 22 years. I've now lived in Austin for 18 years. This could be the Brian Walters rivalry.
That's right. B-dub rivalry.
a new batter in. Lefty punches it into the gap and they run through for 2. Throw comes into the non-striker's end. So 95 for 8 now the score. But boy, the wheels well and truly have fallen off. Derval Green is the new batter along with Josh Sarapella. So many changes in the lineup so far that we did not even realize who the batters were. Usman Rafiq still with 3 balls to come here in his final over. Tossed up. Ooh, great delivery. Just drawing the batter forward. Sarapella not able to get any bats on it.
And if I was Derval Green, I'd probably go after the bowling because that's his attacking nature of batting. He doesn't want to wait with 8 wickets down and just 1 man remaining in the dugout. Josh can actually handle his bat, so let's see if he can just give some support to Derval and play these 20 overs.
Last ball to be bowled here by Usman Rafiq. What a spell for him. 5 for 20 from 3.5. Just a tremendous spell. And remember, 15 of those 20 came in his first over.
That's
so a
right.
tremendous spell here by the captain.
Do we see a 6th one coming here?
Ooh. Clipped down the leg side. That's going to run away for 4. It remains to be seen if it's runs or leg buys. And it appears to be runs signaled by umpire Owen Brown. So a bit of a spoiled end to his spell, but the captain will take 5 runs if it means conceding 24 or 24 runs if it means conceding 5 wickets. And a tremendous spell by the captain comes to an end. His 4 overs, he's taken 5 for 24, leading from the front Usman Rafiq at the end of 7th of 18. Score is 99 for 8.
And Lone Star Athletics 99 for 8, and I like this move, Brian. They are keeping up with the Ninad Nimbalkar, and they know that Sohail Tanveer and Ilyas both have 2 overs remaining. So the last over when Usman is done with his spell, so probably would see Sohail Tanveer might come in to bowl that 20th over, but Ninad will continue with his medium pace, and this is where Derval Green will have to take charge in this over. And they
bang! Oh my goodness! Well, Derval Green has had enough of this nonsense. The man from Jamaica has planted the front foot and mowed that over cow corner. 6 of the best to Derval Green, and the 100 is up with that stroke. It has landed a couple of bounces over onto an adjoining field. And my goodness, that is a huge stroke.
And there was a poor delivery by Ninad. Short delivery with that kind of pace. Derval Green will hit him out of the ground, and Derval is probably wondering, we gave away 2 wickets. But he's a very tricky bowler. He's been bowling really well, and Derval is not going to stop.
Boy, just seeing the replay, certainly just a long hop, no threat whatsoever. Just a hit me ball, got up to maybe waist height, and Derval Green took on the invitation. That's a better line and a better length. That's where he needs to bowl. At his pace, he needs to be bowling that length. And I don't mind the line being maybe 4th or 5th stump, but that's what you want as the captain, Usman Rafiq. That's what the type of bowling is that he'd like to have from Nimbalkar.
That's right. And
slower delivery, crashed over the top of extra cover for 4 more. These are valuable runs at the back end of this innings. Derval Green will look to at least push the total to something relatively competitive, and he's on the charge here.
That's right, and Ninad Usman might be second-guessing his decision to stay with Ninad, knowing that they had Ilyas and Sohail Tanveer with overs remaining, but Ninad bowled really well the first 2 overs, and he's bowling to Derval Green, who's a very attacking batsman, so...
Better length and better line, but they're still going to concede 2. The throw coming in to the non-strikers and nobody home. but I think it was easily going to be 2 either way. So these are truly valuable runs. 12 runs already have come from this 19th over. The scorecard is not looking quite as horrible as it was 4 deliveries ago. It's now 111 for 8, 111 for 8, with 2 balls remaining. And boy, if you are Ninad Nibaka, you just want to make sure to close this out. You want a 4th stump line, and you want it just short of driving length.
As Ninad comes in, this one just tapped towards point, run for a quick single.
Usman Rafiq would have been feeling really good at the end of the last over. This over, I think, is starting to annoy him just a little bit.
13 runs.
13 runs so far from this over. There have been a couple of overs so far that have conceded. Well, this is the second over that has conceded 13 runs. The biggest over of the inning so far, excuse me, as we've said a couple of times before, has been bowled by the captain himself. But he recovered to take 5 wickets. I think right now he would just want to see a dot ball to end things here in the 19th.
Yeah, definitely. Durwell wouldn't like to have a single on this ball where
he will not
Josh facing Sohail Tanveer the last over with just 7 more deliveries to go. Durwell would want to face the maximums out of those 7 deliveries.
Looking for a big swing, and immediately the traffic cop puts up his arm. You are not going anywhere because I'm going to be on strike this last over.
It's a single in every situation, but not right here when Durwell is hitting the ball.
Derval Green wants to be the one to take strike in the last over. So the last over coming up, folks. Not done yet. 112 for 8th is the score. We'll be right back. So, interesting moves here. The last over to be bowled by Mohamed Elias. You remember in yesterday's game, Mohamed Elias bowled an excellent last over. From memory, I think he only conceded 2 or maybe 3 runs and took a wicket. If you are the Houston Hurricanes, you will accept an over similar to that one. But I think the opposition here will have different thoughts. Derval Green will be looking to hit big towards that short side of the ground. Short swung away in the air towards the backward square. Oh, gets through. I think that is Trump down there on the sidelines. On
Ryan Bagani.
That's Ryan Bagani, sorry. But not able to keep them from getting 2 runs. So 2 valuable runs, and more importantly, Derval Green is still on strike.
A very strange decision here, Brian. 2 overs for 14 runs for Elias and 2 overs for 8 runs for Sohail Tanveer. And decision to bring. Sometimes bowlers need a bit more warm up, even in they're coming before the second spell. So probably wasn't ready for that, as Elias still equally a good bowler. He's bowling really well in depth, as we witnessed yesterday. So it's going to be very interesting 5 balls here, where Derval Green is eyeing that short boundary towards the mid-wicket long on area, and Elias, he might need to mix up his slower deliveries.
I would not be surprised if every delivery or most of the deliveries in this over are on the fuller side, because if you go short, Derval Green is quick enough to pounce on it, and that's certainly the shorter side of the ground. So you expect that he'd be able to clear that fence with ease. So I would look for Elias to be bowling full and straight here. Here he is. Oh, tells you how wrong I was. That was a short ball. That bounced closer to Elias than it did Derval Green.
That was a very slow bouncer, and Derval probably swiveled around twice before he could come to the ball. And And Josh was down all the way to Derval Green, shook hands and ran back.
Derval Green determined to take control the rest of the way here. I truly think that he played, as you said, he played about a week too early. The ball was so short and so slow that he could not catch up with it. But here he is again. Full and straight. just in the air, and they do not take the run. The throw comes in to the keeper's edge, and the keeper's end rather. And I'll tell you what, Derval Green has determined if there are any runs to be scored in this last over, I'm going to be the one to score them.
In fact, Derval actually wanted this single. He went halfway down as well, but Josh sent him back.
Interesting. You're absolutely right. Looking at the replay, that's exactly what happened. So maybe Josh Sarapella has determined that Derval Green is the one who needs to score the runs. 3 balls to go. Full and straight.
Gone.
That's exactly what you expected to have happen. The middle stump is rocked back just very late on that shot. Obviously also playing right across it. Looking to play the square leg was Derval Green. That full straight delivery knocks back middle stump.
And good bowling by Elias. He's been bowling really well last few games, especially in the death overs. And again, good delivery, and that's gone. So Derval Green gone, 9 men down. Last 2 deliveries coming up.
Wow. Looking at the replay, that is a fast bowler's dream, boy. You absolutely love to see the middle stump out of the ground. And particularly if it's in these modern days, the zing bails and the zing stumps flashing all over the place. But I'll tell you what, and something to pay attention to in the second half of this match, any fast bowling all-rounder, if he fails with the bat, he's going to be fired up with the ball. So keep an eye on that for when Derval Green has the ball in his hand. But in the meantime, 9 down, and the last man in is... not exactly sure who that is. It's number 7, says Majid Zubair. That is not Majid Zubair. It is Kanwar Singh.
Yeah, Kanwar Singh. He's also a new addition to Lone Star Athletics along with Masood Haq. So these 2 players just joined Lone Star Athletics as free agents from the Washington Cricket League. So in looking at the success that Houston Hurricane bowlers have, Lone Star Athletics, they've got a lot of similar bowling. They've got medium pacers like Ninad, Janisar Khan. They've got spinners, left arm Josh, and Nitish as an off spinner. Elias comes from the force, and again a slow bouncer. And
oh, you don't mind the bouncer to the left-hander, because that means that if he's going to play a pull shot, excuse me, it will be to the bigger end of the field. But even then, Singh not able to make good contact, just only succeeding in bunting it towards the outfield. So the last ball of the innings is coming up. 115 is the score. I would suspect that something full and straight targeting the stumps is what Elias will be aiming for here. Oh, look at this. Trying the reverse scoop, not making contact with it. So ultimately a great last over again from Mohamed Elias. Only 3 runs coming from it. A brilliant last over, exactly what you wanted. And overall, if you are the Houston Hurricanes, you've taken that 115, 116 for a target. You take that every single time, because it means that the batters have even less work to do than they did yesterday. And boy, both of these teams are absolutely hungry for a victory, and they're going to want to make sure that they close this out. So the final score here, 115 for 9. Overall run rate 5.75. And the innings, of course, with the ball dominated by the captain, Usman Rafiq. So quick break coming up for us. We'll be back in about 15 minutes for the chase. And in the meantime, we're signing off temporarily from Prairie View. We'll be right back. So here's a free hit delivery, Mohamed Elias. A great ball. It's going to be well played, though. Look at that shot from Hamza Bangash. Not a lot of margin for error, but just
through, and then some of
slapped away in the deep. Couple of bounces. Matthew Trump running across, not able to. And here we are again. This is a huge hit, and that is going to be 6. That is a gigantic remaining here in the 5th. Short cut away. Oh my goodness, what a diving attempt by the fielder at point. off his hand, runs away for 4. Here's Trump. Oh, this is going to be a moral victory for Trump, but 4 runs for...
Looks like I put the mockers on Suckley and Hyder for a second. That one up in the air. Just manages to evade the fielder.
In the power, outside of the power play with the protection in the deep. Here he is again. Slow through the air. Chipped in the air. Straight to short mid-wicket for 1. With 1 ball remaining. This is now slapped into the outfield. Diving attempt down there. Deep extra cover. Not the Prairie View Cricket Complex. Matthew Trump into his 3rd over. Oh, thick outside the edge, and it's going to be 4.
First 6 overs, the power play seemed to take an eternity, and now 5 overs have been bowled in no time as this is swept. It's their 2 fielders converging and the catch. So, like we said, dot balls bring out a release shot. Let's see what Janisar does now. And he's given an easy full toss. Take strike. And another full toss, and he plays all
over. Set at the crease.
As Ninad comes in again and it's chipped straight back. Like I was saying earlier, that he's the bowler in the mold who might get some purchase. It might slow down. It looked like Sadesh was early
between Nitish and Hamza, and then all of a sudden a double wicket maiden by Usman, and then that's another one right there.
Usman Rafiq to Arya Kanantha. Just and
that's gone.
Edge, but that will not prevent a quick single as Sohail Tanvir, even though that ball went to his strong side, it took him a week and a half. A tremendous spell here by the captain.
Do we see a 6th one coming here?
Ooh. Clipped down the leg side. That's going to run away for 4.
And this is where Terrible Green will have to take charge in this over. And they
bang! Oh my goodness! Well, slower delivery, crashed over the top of extra cover for 4 more. These are valuable runs to go. Full and straight.
Gone.
That's exactly what you expect.
You're watching the Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship, presented by Sunoco.
Welcome back to the Prairie View Cricket Complex, Prairie View, Texas. Moments away here from the chase, where the Houston Hurricanes will be looking to see if they can overhaul a below par total, you'd have to say, of 115. Openers for the Houston Hurricanes are Ramiz Raja and Gaurav Bajaj. Pratir, what are you looking for from the first 6 overs in this first power play? What are you looking to have happen?
Action. If anything, action. We saw yesterday, both the openers took their time, and before I get into that, more changes. Houston Hurricanes are already not very fluid, but I'm pretty sure they had a set order coming into this tournament. Ramiz and Munib Chaudhry would open, and Munib Chaudhry has been left out, and then they have Fowler and Zenith Fowler, who opened one game for them, I do believe. And he's not in the opening as well. And now Gaurav Bajaj has been promoted from number 3 to the opening position. So it just changes everywhere, I guess you could say. Just changes everywhere.
Well, I mentioned it earlier. When Derval Green got out, if you are a fast bowler who's also an all-rounder, if you fail with the bat, you can expect that you'll be absolutely fired up with the ball. So Derval Green has the new ball in his hand. He'll be bowling from the Forest End. The man from Westmoreland in western Jamaica will be coming in, I think, full of pace and fire, looking to see if they can defend this meager total of 115. And he will be bowling, of course, to Ramiz Raja.
Yep, and a pretty attacking field. We see a slip in, not a conventional first slip, almost at a wide gully, or almost gully, second, third slip, in fact.
Here's Derval Green looking to get things underway here, the second half of this match.
Oh.
First delivery very far outside off stump, but umpire Owen Brown satisfied that it's not wide enough. I think Ramiz Raja disagrees with umpire Owen Brown. He has that look of incredulity on his face. But we're off and running here in the second half of this match, where the Houston Hurricanes are looking to see if they can end just a really rotten start to this 2022 minor league season. Looking to see if they can turn the tide and finally win a match. Here's Green again. Full and defended, this time into the covers. Captain Siddhesh Pathare, it looks like, who picks up for no run.
And that first ball stayed very low. One bounce to the keeper. And if you're Ramiz Raja, that's probably also contributing to that look on his face. You don't want the fastest bowler on Aussie Athletics to be getting that kind of bounce, because then you never know what'll happen when the likes of a Siddesh or a Josh Sarpella comes into the attack.
My goodness. So Derval Green again from the Forest End. Looking to edge that one on the outside. Almost looked like he was trying to guide that behind point. Ball fizzing past the outside edge. So a bit of a nervous start here. 3 balls bowled by Derval Green. Not yet off the mark for Ramiz Raja.
And we'll see this ball again on replay, but I'm pretty sure that kept low once again. Oh! And in fact, nowhere near the ball in the end. I think he expected that to be more in line of the body, and Derval Green just keeping it outside the off stump. We see that slip move out, or not.
Well, the slip goes to sort of a wide gully, and then third man goes a little bit finer. Kind of a weird feel, because it almost is like that gully fielder and third man are almost directly in line with each other. Now the third man going inside of the gully fielder. Now he's reversing his direction and now going back outside. So a little bit of a scrambled start here to this innings. Not exactly sure what field they're aiming at, but Derval Green again with the ball in his hands. This ball fizzing past. Not exactly what celebration was by Shine Jahangir. Tossed the ball up in the air to celebrate a dot ball, it looks like. But 4 dot balls now on the trot to start this chase. Now, something to keep in mind here, Pratir. The Houston team had all sorts of trouble chasing a below par total yesterday and ultimately lost to Dallas. Their target on that occasion was 122, which required right around 6 runs and over. As Green again to bowl, hammered straight. That is a brilliant shot. Oh, what a great shot. That will do Ramiz Raja's confidence a world of good. Planting the front foot and hammering that one, splitting the mid-on and mid-off fielders, runs away for 4.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you want if you're Ramiz Raja. A few balls beating you on the outside edge, and then one slightly more pitched up and hammering it back at Derval Green. And if you look at that on replay, that wasn't far from Green's hand.
It was not.
But I do think that if his hand was in the way, he wouldn't have fingers left.
Looking at the replay here, boy, Green with a very full delivery, and it is absolutely blasted. Green, you could easily say, well left, because he wanted no part of that ball hitting his hand. But I also dare venture here to say that this next ball will not be a drivable ball under no circumstances. I'm thinking he would prefer to be hit over backward square for 6 than to bowl another drivable ball.
Interesting.
No fast bowler likes being driven. I think that there's a long on in position. That really is a strange feel. I would have to think this is going to be something shorter. Nope.
Or not.
Full and just edged too backward, in fact, behind square on the leg side. So the run through for a single. Really interesting start to this innings. 5 runs coming from that first over. At the end of the first over, the score is 5 without loss.
1, 2, 3.
So spin to partner the new ball from the highway end. It will be Josh Sarapella to bowl from that highway end. Interestingly, Pratir, you and I were looking at the pitch in between innings, and we noted that particularly the pitch toward the forest end, meaning when the batter is batting from the forest end and the bowling is coming from the highway end, you expect that there'd be some misbehaving taking place with that ball coming from that end, because the pitch appears to be a little bit more worn from that end.
Yeah, and we saw yesterday Nash Kenjige came in from this end that Josh is bowling from, and he got quite a bit of purchase, and some balls really did a lot. Turned and stayed low. Some of them shot up. Some sharp turn. Some balls that went straight through. So, knowing Josh, he's a very similar bowler to Nash. He won't give that much air. He'll really look to push the ball through.
Very interesting. Always risky to bring a bowler on, a spinner in the first or in the side of the power play. But the fact that he's a left arm spinner, I think, works in his favor here. We'll see what happens. Josh Sarapella around the wicket and defended solidly by Ramiz Raja Jr.
Yeah, good start there by Josh, angling into the pads of Ramiz Raja, giving him no room to free his arms. And with mid-off, mid-on up, you know that anything full, Ramiz Raja will try and take him straight down the ground.
Sarapella again. Oh, that stayed low. That absolutely stayed low and fizzes, in fact, goes down the leg side. Hard to tell from our angle. Umpire Rakesh Jain raising those arms saying that that's a wide. So I'd have to confirm with the replay here to see exactly where that ball went. But either way, it's a wide. Yep, looking at the replay, it did go down the leg side. So first wide, and this ball bounces a little bit extra. So it will be interesting to see what this spell from this highway end develop or brings for Sarapella, because again, with the spin bowlers bowling from that end, there's going to be some misbehaving on the pitch. You expect for that to happen. So let's see exactly what develops from here. I don't think it's going to be easy for these batters for the Houston Hurricanes.
Yep, and you see those few drone shots in between, brought to you by Munir Majid again. Majid, wait, yes, my bad. I almost got his name wrong. And we have the lovely Prairie View Cricket Complex. I believe the only drone cam so far in all of minor league. So you have a slight delay as...
Interesting. Now it appears that they're bringing on a helmet. Are they
short leg
going to
coming
have
in.
a bat pad? Is it possible that they would have a bat pad in a T20
Looks
match?
like it at the moment. Unless the keeper needs a change of helmet.
It is a bat pad. It appears that Captain
Silly
Sudesh
point.
Patar himself is going into Silly Point. Look at this, an absolute roll of the dice in a season that has not gone the way that they would have wanted it to go. Captain Sudesh Patar is pulling out all the stops here. Sarapella tossed up and driven right back to Sarapella. Oh my goodness. This is an interesting move. Not very often in any form of limited over cricket that you see a Silly Point, the second over of a match being bowled by, or the second over of the innings rather, being bowled by a spinner. Tossed up, driven down the ground. That's going to be 4. Boy, a bit of anticlimactic development there. If you are the Lone Star Athletics, just floated up in the slot by Sarapella. And Gaurav Bajaj helps himself to 4 runs down the ground.
Yeah, and that's more of what you want to see. Intent. Anything full. Even if you are chasing only 116 runs, you want to have some intent in this innings. And looks like that Silly Point is coming out now. Probably a wise decision. So, for just a small recap. We had a double wicket maiden, 2 well lefts in the back half of the innings, and now we've seen a Silly Point in a T20.
Wow,
he bowled him.
And he bowled him. He knocked him over. That ball did not bounce very high. We expected that the pitch would be misbehaving from this end. That's exactly what has happened here. Bajaj going back, looking to pull that ball. It did not bounce as high as he thought it was expecting it to. And his off stump is knocked back. Looking at the replay here. Oh, yeah, just completely playing above that ball. I was expecting it to bounce a foot more than it did. The first wicket falls, and the Houston Hurricanes are on the back foot, 11 for 1.
Yeah.
Wow. Boy, interesting, curious turn of events here. The new batter walking in is Zenith Fowler. The man from Jamaica was in the West Indies U19 setup in the early teens and is now plying his trade on the minor league circuit. Fowler is going to be asked to stem the tide, and hopefully from the standpoint of the Houston Hurricanes.
Oh, it's coming back. Oh no, they're running the helmet out again.
Oh, they're going back with the Silly Point. Oh my goodness. So the helmet came off after 2 balls. The helmet is now going back on. Captain Sudesh Patar is requesting it. And he himself, you have to admire the captain leading from the front, putting himself very much in the line of fire. Zenith Fowler is a pretty big guy, and if he hits the ball, as they say, it stays hit. Almost reminds me of a Kieran Pollard, who, as captain, would frequently put himself in the hot seat right at that silly point position. But boy, there's a slip, there's a keeper, of course, and there's a silly point. So let's see what happens here with Sarapella. Oh, that length delivery is probably not what you were looking for, but Fowler did not play the aggressive shot that you thought he could have played to it. Ends up just helping it around the leg side to complete a really eventful over. 7 runs coming from that over. Also 1 wicket. So at the end of 2, the score is 11. Let's check that. 12 for 1.
My son, he's so soft-spoken. Oh, yeah. Everyone says he's so good-looking, and he never forgets to call.
Hi, Mom. Born for your true self. The 2022 Tundra. Toyota. Let's go places.
Welcome back to Prairie View. Again, we're pleased to bring you the 2022 Minor League Cricket Championship presented by Sunoco. Our official sponsor is Dafa News, and this matchup could be happening not only here in Prairie View, but probably has happened a few times before on the island of Jamaica. Derval Green against Zenith Fowler, 2 Jamaican nationals. Here's Green, full of sound and fury. Full delivery, appeal, going down the leg side, but it's going to be signaled wide by umpire Owen Brown. All Jamaicans all of a sudden. Owen Brown, the umpire, fast bowler Derval Green, and the batter Zenith Fowler. Full of sound and fury, and the only thing that comes out of that is just a wide.
And I'm pretty sure that ball came a good 5 kilometers quicker than his whole last over. And I know you asked me at the start of the innings, what do you expect? Action. That's what I gave you, action. And so far, this inning has been nothing short of action. May not have been runs scored, but in every other way, there's been action.
Green again. Down the leg side again. So valuable runs being leaked here by Derval Green. He's quick, but he has to be on the stumps, has to be on target, and has to make the new batter play. Of course, you also have a field. You have a backward, let's call it a backward point on the 30-yard circle. There's a third man on the circle. And so you'd want, if you were Derval Green, to be bowling somewhere on off stump or maybe a 4th stump line. Anything down the leg side, particularly with a fine leg inside the circle, is asking for trouble. Here he is again. Oh, appeal for an LBW, not out. Ooh, quick single take, and let's see what Owen Brown signals here. In fact, no signal, so that was apparently an inside edge that yielded that run. A lot of activity here all of a sudden, Patir.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying it earlier, action, and even that ball there, people running all over the place, appeals. The fielder falling on the floor. It's a bit of everything going on at the moment. And I want to ask you about this field, Brad. We have a long on for Derval Green.
It is mystifying to me. Oh, look at that. That ball bounced from a good length. It was well played in the end by Ramiz Raja. Just kind of rode the bounce and stayed on top of it. But I completely agree with you. If you have the quickest bowler, in my mind, the quickest bowler in this match, why do you have a long on in position? I expect the third man to be where he is. I would at least have expected that maybe somebody either deep fine leg or deep backward square leg is more what you'd expect for a quick bowler. For some inexplicable reason, there's a long on there, which obviously means that he's looking to pitch it full. I don't think he should. That's the length that he's bowled the last several balls, which is again mystifying as to why you'd need a long on. But that's the type of delivery that you expect from Derval Green. But overall, a really interesting start to this innings. A lot of different moving parts. Helmets coming on, helmets going off, fielders rolling on the ground, pitch crumbling. There's all sorts of different moving parts. Look, folks, hang on. This match has 2 or 3 or 4 interesting twists yet to go.
Yeah, and 115 as much as it may seem easy, it probably won't be easy the way they're going right now.
Ooh. Green again knocking this one in short. And if you notice here that, again, we keep saying it, the long run fielder is being wasted. Just for a split second it appeared that he was coming in off of the boundary to be inside the circle, but they persist with that fielding position. The rough start from the over here for Derval Green. There have been a handful of singles, and this is exactly what you'd want from your big fast bowler. Now it's up to him now to close out strong with these last 2 deliveries.
There we go.
And now we get the field that we were expecting. Deep square leg into position, and that fielder from long on coming in off of the boundary. That's more what you expect with a Derval Green in operation. Here is again.
Full.
Oh, well defended. Good, fuller delivery. Honestly, fuller than you'd expect given the field. Maybe they tried a double bluff. Look, nothing wrong with trying a double bluff. Houston, you get the sense, or Lone Star rather, pulling out all the stops, wanting to make sure that they get something positive going here at the back end of this match that really has not gone, I think in many ways epitomizes the type of season that they've had. Not a lot of success so far, but they're looking to close out strong here. 16 for 1 with just 1 ball remaining here in the 3rd. Here's Green. Flash and a miss outside off stump. Full of sound and fury signifying nothing. That is the end of the 3rd over. At the end of 3, the score is 16 for 1.
What's up, Doug? What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
Back live at the Prairie View Cricket Complex. It seems like the helmet is going off for now. So I think we'll be saved from silly points, silly mid-off, whatever you want to call that, for a few overs. And I don't anticipate it to come back out, but considering how the first 2 overs went, you never know.
Wow. Well, Josh Sarapella with a successful first over. His first over went for 7 runs, but he took a wicket. That is the most important part of his return so far. For the Lone Star Athletics to win this game, I think they have to take wickets. I don't think you simply just hold Houston to a score of 110 for 6. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to have to take wickets in order to propel their team to victory.
Yeah, but I think Lone Star will take a few points from Dallas Mustangs yesterday. We saw Houston Hurricanes didn't quite get off the blocks, and at the moment it seems like that. I mean, there's still 3 overs left in the power play. But if the Lone Star Athletics can keep Houston down to, let's say, 50, 55 in that first 10 overs, that'll really help them get some momentum in the back half.
Sarapella again, just bunting this ball into the outfield. That seems like it's Nitish Kumar, I believe.
Ooh.
Running across from mid-on to clean up and hold the damage to 1 run.
Yep, and again, tidy start by Josh, kind of just pushing it through on a length, hopefully, or he's letting the pitch do stuff, we should say. Bowling very similar to what Nosh Kenjige did yesterday, getting some purchase off the pitch. And it'll be interesting to see how he bowls to Fowler this over, because we saw that first ball, a little bit of a drag down, I guess we can call it. And Fowler just elected to tap it around. And knowing his background, I don't think he's the type of player to just tap it around.
Forced off the back foot. Sliding stop. In fact, the stop is not successful. They run through for a single. So the owner and manager of the Dallas Mustangs just sent me a message saying that's exactly what you said yesterday. And I think that's exactly what I did say yesterday, meaning that they were not going to restrict the team without bowling them out. Yes, it's certainly possible to not have bowled a team out and still have won. And Lokesh, thank you very much for reminding me of that huge faux pas on my part. And by the way, you owe me a shirt. Score moves on now to 19 for 1. Goodness. This is going to be a really interesting chase. You get the sense that there are going to be 2 or 3 more twists before this is all over with.
How do we see these two playing the spin? We saw in the first innings Lone Star let the spin dominate, whereas now that Houston has seen that, as we say that,
wow. I'll tell you what, I don't mind them having mid-on inside the circle, because in order to hit big, you'd have to be hitting across the turn. But having said that, that ball was absolutely nailed by Zinni Fowler, rather. Absolutely bludgeoned it down the ground. And it was not just, it didn't go over mid-on, it kind of went to his right. 4 runs for Zinni Fowler.
Oh.
It's a better delivery, just short of a length, and defended into the offside for no run.
Yeah, and I was just about to say before that shot was hit that Houston Hurricanes saw the last 2 days that if they let spin dominate, then the game can get pulled back very easily. See, Zinni Fowler once again appealed for a stumping. Oh, not interested.
Not given. So a little bit of excitement here to close things out here in the 4th over. After 4, the score is 23 for 1.
Took that last corner pretty quick.
Sir, I need 1 hand on the roof, 1 hand on the pump.
Timeout for Sunoco Go Rewards.
Keep pumping.
With new Sunoco Go Rewards, when you fuel, you save, because rewards come first.
Back here per review, there's a change in bowling. Derval Green bowls 2 overs, but then takes a rest. And the bowling coming from the Forest End, the 5th over of the innings. It will be taken up by Kanwar Singh. Kanwar Singh, left arm seamer, and this is cut away behind point. That's going to be 4. Well played. Just a little too short and a little too wide, providing the room for Ramiz Raja to open the shoulders and cut that behind point. Runs away for 4.
Yeah, and not the start you want if you're Kanwar Singh. You surely want to apply pressure early on the likes of Ramiz Raja, and we see that again, just too short, too wide, and with only 2 fielders outside, that's almost just hit me stuff.
So Kanwar Singh has a little bit of thinking to do here. He comes back into both Ramiz Raja. Full and driven into the cover is the captain himself, Sidesh Batari, making sure that there is no damage. So a dot ball for the second ball. You're going to want to restrict the scoring, obviously, but the way that you could potentially do that is by building pressure, and I'll say more in a second. Lavkesh Kalia, you're a beauty. But anyway, so you're going to want to make sure that you attempt to build pressure. And the way that you build pressure is by just bowling your best ball. Just get that ball on off stump, just short of driving length, and force the batter to do something that he's uncomfortable with. Here he is again, looking big, but not making good contact, just driving it into the covers. So just another dot ball. So good couple of deliveries. After the first ball went for 4, Kanwar Singh is able to prevent Ramiz Raja from getting away. But it's now up to Kanwar Singh to finish this over strong. Has to be able to finish it strong. Here he is again. Huge hit. Boy, he was looking big there. Thick inside edge. Moral victory to Kanwar Singh, but it runs away for 4 off the inside edge. So valuable runs here for Ramiz Raja. He'll absolutely take it. It doesn't matter to him how pretty or how ugly they are, because the runs all count. Another 4 with just now 2 balls remaining here in the 5th over.
And if you're Ramiz Raja, maybe this is the luck that you're looking for. He hasn't had the best season. We saw him get off to a start yesterday, couldn't convert it. And maybe this is just the luck he needs to get himself going. One poor delivery and then this one inside edge past leg stump.
Goodness. Driven in the air over the top of mid-off. So now all of a sudden bringing Kanwar Singh into the attack has yielded a very expensive result. 4 more runs, 12 runs already from this over with 1 ball to come.
Still a ball left.
By my count, there is still a ball to come. Umpire Owen Brown does not appear to have called over. Yeah, so it appears that there is still a ball to come. But 12 runs already from the over. A very expensive over so far. And I mentioned that you wanted to at least try to build pressure if you're Kanwar Singh. But full credit to Ramiz Raja. He actually hit that inside out off of the stumps. Sometimes with that shot, you'd get the sense that the ball was too wide. But he actually stayed leg side of that ball and elevated it straight bat, but over the top of extra cover. So that really was a very good shot on his part. Maybe to try to counteract that, you would think that Kanwar Singh would try to go around the wicket to spear it into him, but he stays over the wicket. Here he is again, and this is just defended in front of the stumps. Kanwar Singh himself does the cleanup work. After 5, the score is 35-1, and after a brief break, Pratir Mehta will be taking a well-deserved break and will be joined here in the comm box by Mustafa Imani, who will be right back.
All right, Brian, good start here by Houston Hurricanes, 35-1, chasing less than 6 runs an over, as it was the case yesterday, and very similar kind of a start as yesterday, where Ramiz and Munib actually played a good hand, and then all of a sudden the wheels came off, and 6 runs per over at the start of the innings became 6 runs off the last ball. So just the 1 wicket down, and bowling change as you see Nitish Kumar coming in from the highway end, and right away tries to sweep that delivery. Fowler didn't connect, called the wide down the leg side. So
I think you're absolutely right, Mustafa. This feels very much like yesterday's match. If I remember correctly, the first wicket fell at 38, so it was 38-1 yesterday, and now 35-1. Nitish Kumar in, and this is
look at that
driven
shot
right down the ground. What a stroke!
That's gone.
Boy, Zenith Fowler planting that front foot and absolutely blasting that ball back over the head of the bowler. 6 of the best.
So Zenith Flower really getting a chance to show his talent here. The first 2 games that he came in Chicago, he got injured in the first game. Got hit on the hand by a fielder's throw and didn't play the second game in Chicago, and yesterday didn't get a chance to bat, and right now he's got all the time to show what he's got, his talent. He's a very talented batsman and a good hit.
Very clean strike of the cricket ball. Very powerfully built young man, probably somewhere around 6'2" and muscular. So you expect that if he hits it, it will stay hit. And that ball actually stayed in the air for a while. He'll want to keep that ball down. But in the end, just a dot ball.
42-1 as Nitish comes in. And this one again, handsomely driven towards the deep mid wicket for a single. So I love the positive style of cricket here. I know they're chasing 119, 116 runs, but this is how T20 cricket should be played. Very positive cricket by Zenith Fowler as Ramiz Raja. And that's appeal by the wicketkeeper. Still looking for his form, Brian. Not really.
And I think what you find, Mustafa, is when there's a batter who's struggling for form, he does unorthodox things to try to get into form. And you remember that reverse scoop that he tried yesterday, that was his undoing. A batter who is in good nick, I don't think tries that shot. And I think his wicket last night started the collapse that ended up with Houston losing that match.
Yeah, that was a very ill-advised shot. Ramiz was trying to scoop that delivery, and especially Nosh, who was bowling extremely well. Here comes Nitish. And then this one slightly short, just taps it, and a misfield there at short mid-wicket allows Ramiz to get a single.
Well, when you are defending a below par total, you have to make sure that you take every opportunity to prevent your opposition from scoring. And the Lone Star Athletics are going to want to watch that.
Still, I'm a bit surprised. Even that's the end of power play. And still haven't seen Janisar Khan come in and bowl, especially when you saw what Houston Hurricanes medium pacers like Ninad and Matthew Trump did. Still haven't seen Janisar Khan come in and bowl, and he even attacked in one of the games and was very economical. So it seems to be a bowling change from the Forest end. 1 over by Kanwar Singh. Expensive over taken off.
Awaiting confirmation on who this new bowler is. But big picture, the score is 44 for 1. In fact, it appears to be Masood Haq. He's bowling to Ramiz Raja. First delivery just defended into the offside for no run.
So Masood Haq, one of the newest additions for Lone Star Athletics, coming into bowl from the Forest end. And a good start by him, just bowling right outside the off stump line, and then
absolutely a good start. Now it's going to be incumbent on him to continue exactly like this, because the last over that was bowled from the Forest end was a little bit expensive, and so there's some work to do to pull things back here for Lone Star. Oh, thick outside edge. It's going to result in 4 runs, unfortunately. Had there been a slip fielder in position, he would have taken that easily. And it's always easy to guess after the fact, but if you're defending a low score, Mustafa, you have to be able to take wickets. And so there is an argument to be made for there to be a slip in position at this point.
Also, first 2 deliveries he bowled full. This time he banged in a slightly short, and Ramiz gave him an opportunity to try to cut that ball. Didn't connect, edged it, but no fielder in place, and goes all the way towards the third man boundary for 4. So runs coming in for Houston Hurricanes.
Boy, if you are the Hurricanes, again, you've had a less than ideal start to the season, but you have an opportunity here, similar to yesterday. The table is set that you can just continue playing normal cricket and see if you can get a victory. Right now, they're only 67 runs away from what would be a pretty straightforward victory.
Yeah, you say, Brian, straightforward.
what should be a straightforward victory, bearing in mind what the required run rate is at this stage, is 5.03. And this is defended into the onside by Zenith Fowler.
And now, Brian, a question. I'm watching Zenith Fowler bat for the first time. Very attacking, very positive batsman. I'm surprised that he wasn't sent number 3 yesterday to bat. If he can bat like this, and had he gone to bat, obviously we can't tell what would have happened, but his stroke play and him trying to take on the bowlers might have been beneficial for Houston Hurricanes chasing 122.
Well, I'll answer that after this last delivery. In fact, this last delivery is the last of the over. So 50 for 1 after 6. The power play is done and dusted. Check that. Power play's already been already gone. So the 7th is finished. Short break and then I'll come back and discuss that exact question. We'll be right back.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले। हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
50 for 1 is the score. So Mustafa, to the question that you asked, is it, as they say, hindsight is 20/20. It's always possible to go back and say this might have made a difference yesterday. Looking at how Zenith Fowler strokes the ball, you get the sense almost like he would have been like an Ashley Nurse, somebody who could score quickly. Maybe the counter argument would be that if the ball is turning into him, he's one batter. But most of the spinners yesterday were turning the ball away from the right-hander. So that might have been an argument in the other direction. As this is an attempted sweep. Oh, what is this? He was giving him LBW. Oh, my goodness. So I may have missed that. Not may. I definitely did miss that. Looking to sweep and wrapped on the pad, and umpire Rakesh Jain thinking about it and then raising the dreaded finger. So Fowler has to go. Looking here, swept. Really, a question certainly is going to be asked as to whether or not he was outside the line.
That certainly
Mustafa, your reaction tells me that you might think that that's the case.
As we watch the replay here, it comes again. That certainly hit him outside the off stump. You can see all 3 stumps, and that's way outside the off stump, not even close. And
No,
the umpire.
In fairness, this camera is not directly in line with the stumps. So you could certainly make the argument that the angle at which we're seeing, looking at Zenith Fowler's reaction, I think he agrees with you. But again, in fairness, we aren't. The camera is not directly in line with the stumps, so you certainly can make the argument that had we been staring right down the pitch, we might have had a slightly different view. But either way, it doesn't matter. The umpire has already made his decision, and Zenith Fowler has to walk off. The score is 50 for 2. Fowler 15 from 15.
And the new man in is Ninad Nimbalkar, coming in at number 4. And so again, second wicket, and this is a very crucial passage of play here where you just lost Zenith Fowler, and opportunities like this you allow teams to come in. And that's what they're looking for at Lone Star Athletics, is to want a quick wicket and then try to squeeze the lineup, put some more pressure. And Brian, again, with just 60-odd runs to go, you think Lone Star Athletics can probably use a bit more pressure on the fielding side, where they can place a few more fielders inside the circle and let them go hit for big shots?
Well, that certainly would be the thinking. Each of these teams obviously has struggled mightily, so it's almost like there's nothing to lose, and looking to drop this one and run it behind point, not making contact. But Nitish Kumar, successful over so far, but he's going to want to keep up the pressure. See that short mid-wicket in position, I think is going to be in play sometime very soon. And it's helped in the air to the right of that mid-wicket fielder, running into the outfield for a single.
And Ninad has to be very careful here, Brian, because out of the 5 matches that he's batting on, and he's played on 4 times, bowled off a spinner.
Wow. Well, when you've had the type of season that Houston has had, something like this happens and then you lose a wicket and then things sort of cascade and build on each other. In the air, running around, it's not going to be in time, and it's a great piece of fielding by the fielder coming from long on rather. Think he kept it inside the ropes. There might have been some question as to whether or not he was on the ropes. Umpire Rakesh Jain wanting to get a signal from the bowler, or the fielder rather, as to whether or not he touched the rope. Bowler, I don't think he's going to say that he did. But I think just two more runs to the total.
This one again towards backward fine leg for a single. In previous delivery, Brian, interesting. The two fielders usually run and converse towards the ball, but the long on fielder was waiting, and then as soon as he saw that the fielder got to the ball, dove and slapped the ball inside, he should have been standing right there, but he didn't react accordingly as Nitish comes in. And again, a good delivery, bringing Ninath forward, beats the keeper.
Boy, as the late Tony Gregg would say, it's all happening. A very eventful over here by Nitish Kumar. 54 for 2 after 8.
For Nitish, a lot happened. An LPW decision which sent Zenith Fowler back, and now you've got Masood Haq coming in for his second over. I'm still trying to figure out, Brian, is Masood an off spinner, spinner, or he just comes up both seam up but with a very, very short run up?
He just turns the arm over. Slower in the air, lofted, catchable, deep square leg in position, and I think that is out. Oh, what a brilliant piece of work in the deep. Caught the ball, falling over towards the rope, managed to throw the ball back in, then reposition himself inside and took a catch. And I'll tell you, Mustafa, when things happen, they happen in twos or threes. Another body blow to the Houston Hurricanes.
Wow, that's a big blow as Ramiz Raja was very well settled in, and this is exactly, Brian, we were talking about. This is what happened to Lone Star Athletics too. After a brief partnership, wickets started tumbling, and here again, 2 quick wickets, Zenith Fowler in the previous over, and now Ramiz Raja Jr., courtesy of a brilliant catch there by the fielder in the deep. Second attempt, he first got to the ball and threw it back up in the air and came back inside the rope and got the catch. So
it appears that Captain Usman Rafiq has promoted himself. He's going to take the bull by the horns. You remember in last night's game, Mustafa, he only came in with 1 ball to face, and he faced the last ball of the innings. Not able to be successful on that occasion, trying to hit a 6 to win the game. Here the assignment is just a little bit different, but he still needs to buckle down and take the bull by the horns and lead his team to victory. Bull by the horns, Longhorns. That was spectacular, and I didn't even mean it.
Yeah. You can say that, especially when Lone Star Austin Athletics getting 2 quick wickets.
Goodness. I said it earlier. Do you expect for another couple of twists in this game? It's pretty straightforward to chase 116 for victory, you would think.
And then kudos to all the fielder. I was told that fielder was Arya, the youngster.
That was Arya Kanantha. Oh, what a brilliant piece of work by the young man in the deep. Oh my goodness. He will be happy. His father Sudhir will be happy to see that also.
So, a wicket for Masood Haq. Credit to the bowler too. He's been bowling well, and this one driven to a long off and single.
Wow. My goodness. These matches, even though each of these teams has struggled mightily this year, they've produced really good cricket, entertaining cricket for the last couple of days.
And both batters, Brian, were so sure of that clearing the rope that neither of those batsmen moved and didn't cross.
Oh, wow.
As Ninad now facing and again just taps it towards long arm. A bowler wasn't able to get to it, and again a good single. And this is what is needed given the situation where two quick wickets have gone down. Both Fowler and Ramiz spent some time in the middle and then got out LBW in a brilliant catch.
Well, a little bit of a delay. Umpire Rakesh Jain doing some furniture repair on the stumps at the highway end. 56 for 3, so only another 60 runs needed for victory. The Houston Hurricanes need from this stage to score.
And that's a good shot, driven straight to deep extra cover where there's a fielder there, single. So Usman Rafiq led from the front in the bowling with 5 wickets, and now he's going to have to bat here and score some runs for his team. So a good opportunity for him to come bring the Houston Hurricanes, bring them across the finish line as Masood Haq. And this one is driven, clipped towards deep mid-wicket, fielder just rushing in. And that he's charged. He just took a brilliant catch.
Arya Kanantha again. I mentioned the rate at which they needed to score. The current run rate is 6.57. The required rate 5.19. So scoring at less than a run a ball gets them the victory. Driven down the ground. This is going to be deep extra cover in position, and quick throw comes into the keeper's end. Just a single to close things out here in the 9th. After 9, the score is 59 for 3.
1, 2, 3.
$59 for 3, 9 overs finished, 11 more overs to go, 57 runs, Brian, asking rate 5.18 and 7 wickets in hand. They still got Saklain Heather, the wicket keeper, then they've got some hitters, Sohail Tanveer, Ashley Nurse, Matthew Trump. We didn't see him bat yesterday.
Correct.
So given the situation, I would really think Matthew Trump would be the next batter. This one is short and Usman cuts it, and the fielder giving that a chase, diving in again.
Good work in the deep. Is that Arya Kanantha again?
That was Arya.
Wow. Great work by that young man.
And also the fielder from point who ran after the ball, so he got the pass from Arya and threw the ball. So 2 runs. Certainly saved a boundary there as Nitish coming in. And this one is flighted and driven again. Chase for the fielder. Gets there. And the batsman back, comfortably back for the second. So
Well, we just said that Houston just needs to score at the rate of a running ball. In fact, less than a running ball will do it. In the first 2 balls of this over, they've scored 4 runs. So Captain Usman Rafiq is doing exactly the right thing, not taking any risks, it doesn't look like. But there's plenty of room to pick up those 1s and 2s. Again, you're not chasing a very big total. So it's simply incumbent on you to just keep the scoreboard ticking. And if you do that, the victory is right there for the taking.
Usually scores like these, Brian, the batting team tries to finish it off with an over or 2 to spare, not wanting to bring it so close. And this one again was trying to hit it on the onside, didn't connect. 16 runs so far conceded by Nitish off that 1 wicket of Zenith Fowler. And again, good delivery this time. Comes forward. So there's no need to rush. Both these batters can stay on, rotate the strike. They've gotten 4 runs of the first 4 balls.
It's a good comeback here by Nitish Kumar. The first 2 balls went for 4 runs, but the last 3 have been 3 dot balls. So 1 more delivery remaining here before we get to the halfway stage of the innings. And it is punched to short extra cover for no run. So good closeout to the over. At the end of 10, the score is 63 for 3, and we will have a double change in the commentator's box. The next 2 voices you will hear will be Munir Majid and Pratir Mehta.
My son, he's so soft-spoken. Everyone says he's so good-looking, and he never forgets to call.
Hi, Mom. Born for your true self. The 2022 Tundra. Toyota. Let's go places.
Welcome back here at Prairie View as 10 overs through this chase. The Lone Star Athletics have managed to only take 3 wickets of the Houston Hurricanes. Houston sitting much prettier, 63 for 3. However, if we do go back to the Lone Star batting innings, they were at 70 after 10 overs, only managing another 45 in the last 10 overs of a T20 match with, I do believe, 7 or 8 wickets in hand. So, that being said, cricket's a funny game. You never actually know what's going to happen till it happens.
Rightly said, Pratir. And almost want to concede. I have a sneaky feeling the next 5 to 6 overs are going to be heavily decisive in which way this game goes. The Athletics have done tremendously well to pull this back. And nicely bowled. It's pushed to cover a dot ball. And that's beautifully played off the back foot. Sweeper cover comes in and keeps it down to a single. Usman has made a good call here. We were discussing the same yesterday, that given he's been in such good form, he's been amongst the runs, keeping himself back till that very last over. And we saw batters who haven't been striking big off late, the likes of... We'll come back to this after this next ball. Nicely defended off the front foot. Short third comes in. Another dot ball. So the likes of Sohail Tanveer, Ashley Nurse, they all came and perished with golden ducks. And Usman left a little too much towards the end. But I think he's shown clear intent today, and that's nicely stopped by the bowler. The Athletics are hustling. They're not giving up, and that's the right attitude. This is a team who, in their DNA, in their fiber, have fight. They fought every single game last season. That's really what they bank on as Nitish continues, and that's nicely driven down to long off, another single. So, good steady batting by this pair, Pratir.
Yep, and pretty good over so far. Only 2 runs off the first 5 deliveries, and once again, we haven't seen Janisar Khan. Not quite sure why that is, if there's any injury that we don't know of. But I'm pretty sure I just saw Kamran Sheikh warming up a backward point. So maybe it's just that Lone Star want to get all spin on this pitch, which is supporting the spinners a lot. Into Ninad Nimbalkar in back foot punch to long on for a single.
The over comes to a close at 66 after 11, going at a run a ball, and will continue in the 12th over.
You had me at chicken and rice.
Back live and over number 12. What's cooking in the middle is very intriguing, but what I can sniff right behind me is Brian Walters with chicken curry and rice. A wonderful day to enjoy a good, well-earned meal. It would be hard to say which team feels the same at the end of this game. It's kind of even Stevens. Although looking at the scoreboard, you would say this is heavily loaded in the favor of the home team, Hurricanes. But given the trends in the last couple of games, it's very hard to predict who has the heavier hand on this fixture right now.
And I think we can say all we want, but at the end of the day, it's whatever happens in the cricket. I mean, yesterday there was a game where 99 was defended up north as Kamran Sheikh first ball scooped down towards deep fine leg, and it'll be just 2 runs cut off by deep score running around. But as I was saying, 99 was defended yesterday by the Empire State Titans, if I'm not mistaken. So 115 is a whole 16 runs more. And yesterday, what me and Brian were talking about in the innings break was Houston just managed to get to about 116 yesterday. And today, that's what they're chasing. So you never actually know.
That's a good point, Pratir, as this one is beautifully driven down the ground by Ninad Nimbalkar. That brings Usman on strike. And as far as these two teams are concerned, it's just not about the victory margins at this point. They're definitely not considering the net run rates. It's just about getting those 2 points on the table. They've been deprived of so many points, which could have been low-hanging fruits, one being yesterday for the Hurricanes. And both teams have come in winning situations, but somehow they have looked around the dugout and they haven't seen a player who could raise his hand and say, I'm going to do this for the team today. As this is gently glided, the short third seemed to be open, but there just wasn't enough pace on the ball for the batter to work with. So the fielder from point comes across and keeps it down to a single. As the score ticks along to 71 for 3. Kamran comes in again, and that's a full toss. It's driven straight to long off, and a diving effort by Arya Kannata. It seems Arya is the fielder at long off. He's been everywhere. The ball is following him. The exuberance and the energy an under-19 player brings in. He's by trade a wicket-keeper, and he's doing so good in the outfield today.
Catch. Ooh.
And this goes again to long off, as it's kept down to a single. And the over draws to a close. It's 73 for 3 after 12.
If I tell you the easiest way to maximize your tax savings, get bookkeeping done, and having a better financial position in the market is to call 1-800-250-8596. So what are you waiting for? Just pick up the phone and call us now.
We're back live from the Prairie View Cricket Complex, field number 5, an absorbing fixture between the two local teams. for bragging rights at this point, I must say, the Houston Hurricanes and the Lone Star Athletics. And with that said, my due apologies to Rith, who was at long off in the last over, who made that diving effort. If his dad Sudhir is listening, who must be super proud of his son. Talking of proud dads, there's also another Sudhir, whose son Arya Kanatha, who's a wicketkeeper by trade, has done amazingly well in the field today. The energies these under-19 players have brought on, Hamza Khalid being another one who's been part of the Athletics. It's just brilliant to see. And these are all local players from the Houston circuit who a lot of us have seen train with local academies, work with local coaches, and now they're proving their mettle at the minor league level. As we see a change in bowling, Josh is back in the attack from the Forest end. He's bowled 2 overs for 14 runs and he claimed a wicket in his first spell. Opened the bowling right from the second over today. That's cut to backward point. Another dot ball.
At the moment, Josh seems to just be firing it in. His normal style of bowling. The point very far behind the square. As down the pitch comes Usman Rafiq. And it is launched over long on. Much needed boundary there after 2 crucial dot balls. Just what Usman Rafiq would have wanted to keep his team ticking along.
That was a trend we saw in the first innings, that whenever you had a couple of dot balls, a release shot came out. Unfortunately for the Athletics and fortunately for Usman, this time around he made good connection and it sails over long on. Probably cleared that fence by a good 15 meters, almost a 85 to 90 meter hit there by Usman. Well timed. Now we see a slip is in place for Usman as Josh comes in. Left arm around the wicket. Slightly short, Usman rocks back onto the back foot. A big heave comes out, only manages to under-edge it, and the ball rolls to long on. And the batsmen come through for a single. The equation looks pretty straightforward at this point. 36 runs required, 45 deliveries, highly in favor of the Hurricanes as this is a full toss. Nicely driven down to long on by Nilay. They're looking pretty steady, and I think the game, Prathir, is getting to a point where if this pair continues for a couple of overs, the odds of victory would stake highly in favor of the Hurricanes.
And something I'll point out after this ball as Usman Rafiq guides it into the offside. Bit of a mix-up there. Make it home safely. What I was going to say is Usman Rafiq has come out looking very positive, trying to hit the boundaries whenever they're on offer, rotating the strike every single ball. And another eventful over, 9 off it. Just what the Lone Star Athletics would have wanted. At the end of 13, it is 83 for 3.
What's up, Doug? What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
So we are back live, over number 14, about to commence. An animated Captain Sadesh trying to get his troops in the right places, making a lot of bowling changes. They're throwing everything they have, and I think this is just about the time when they have to. The scores of 10 of 12 deliveries and 20 of 20 might not look a lot, but in the context of this game where you've got a small chase at hand, it means a lot. And given when they lost those 2 quick wickets, these two have very steadily stabilized the ship for the Hurricanes. Still remains to be seen whether they can close the deal, because they've been in these situations but they've thrown it away as a big hoik comes out from Usman. In fact, that was Nilay. that on strike and under edge onto the pad, and they go through for a single. Nitish again, and ooh, that was a close call. I wonder if there's the need for this right now. We are looking at a required rate of under 5 and over on a pitch that most definitely is breaking. The top surface seems to be loose, and a full toss is gifted on a platter, which is driven to long off. But we've seen bits of dust come out. We've seen some balls hold into the pitch. I do not know if that choice in that moment in time was the ideal option. This is not too bad, getting to the pitch of the ball, smothering the spin, and cow corner comes in, but he couldn't keep it down to a single. A little misfeel, and they come through for a second.
Yeah, and at the moment the wheels seem to be coming off just slightly for Lone Star. A misfield there by the deep mid-wicket fielder, allowing them to come back for an easy 2. That one just over the head of short fine leg, who initially came in expecting the ball to come in his hands. It goes over, goes away to the boundary as well. Nitish Kumar not impressed.
Looks very good when it comes off, but when you hold out to that fielder right there with a strike with a required rate of 4.5. So anyways, a welcome boundary for the Hurricanes. At the end of 14 overs, the score is 91 for 3. Pardon me. The heat index at this moment in time is probably hovering around cricket's favorite digit, the Nelson. As we see the 12th man almost after every over, they're running it with beverages and refreshments, and I think the umpires have been understanding of the situation. As long as they're not interrupting the play and things proceed at the right time. And as we discussed, Pratir, it's been a mystery why Janisar Khan, given the condition of the pitch, wasn't thrown the ball. He's coming in now, and it would be an interesting over. Let's see if he can get a breakthrough. That's really what's needed for the Athletics at this moment in time.
And it seems to be coming in with a very, very short run-up. Almost a spinner's run-up. 5-6 steps at best. Keeper standing up. So may just see all cutters from Janisar Khan at the moment.
Yeah, based on what I've seen this season, he seems to be bowling from that kind of a run-up. Maybe the magic happens to be in the wrist. No need to come in from a 20-step run-up. And this is Hoyt. Is it straight up in the air? It is. It doesn't clear the boundary, but the fielder deep down on deep square comes across. A lot of yards covered between the two of them. They hurl the ball back, and an easy couple of runs there.
Munir, I have to ask you, you're going to have 5 outside, and for every over other than this over right now, other than this ball, as that fielder just dropped back, there was a deep cow corner out there, and they brought him in. So if he was there, that would have gone straight to him. That one pushing the leg side, running hard. Arya, once again, ball going to him at every single ball, it seems like at this point, is going towards him, keeping it down to a single.
Yeah, that's an interesting observation, Pratir. Given where this game stands, Sidesh would be probably looking to get his fielders in and stop those singles and doubles. Now, this is again a short one. There's clear intent from Janisar to use the pitch. He hasn't pitched anything right up to the batsman. He's hoping for a ball to stop, and maybe the batsman gets early into his shot and lobs it to one of those fielders close up. But yeah, I definitely think with somebody like him who's using his wrist and bowling wicket to wicket, you might want to have some fielders inside the circle. A full one, and the batsman Nimbolkar, he hits it down to long on, and they go through for a single. So it's been a healthy over. 4 runs of the first 3 balls Hurricanes won't mind this. And a full delivery almost yorked him, Usman, at the crease. But again, as you said, they just don't have enough men in the circle. The entire leg side, besides the 45 at fine leg, is open. And there's always an easy single on the offer.
And I don't want to say this because Johnny will definitely watch this game back on video, but at the moment he seems to be bowling like an off spinner. So far everything has been into the pitch cutters. Let's see how he goes. So much fuller, much quicker. I guess he must have heard me.
Yep, and as we were saying for that last delivery, the men at short mid-wicket came in, but this one was more towards the off stump. It was driven down the ground. So at the end of 15, it's 97 for 3.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले। हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
Good afternoon, Munir. There is no way that Houston loses this from here, is there?
I want to say no. Our knowledge of the game, what we have seen in T20 cricket or in cricket in general with 7 wickets to go, I do want to put all my money on the Hurricanes, as I think we've done on a few previous occasions and lost all our money. So, but still, I think I would stick with logic. It seems so. One difference, Brian, we're seeing as compared to yesterday and a couple of other occasions was the game. The finishing line was in clear sight. Still, a change of strategy and approach happened. Like Sohail Tanvir walks out, first ball duck. Ashley Nurse comes in early when the required rate was just 5 or 6 and over. But today, the required rate is now almost 4 runs and over, 3.6 to be precise. Right? And they're playing it to the situation, which I'm happy to see.
And that's not going to help. That appears to be, is that Hamza Bangash, who's bowling leg spinners. First delivery wide outside off stump. The next delivery just punched to backward point for a single. So 2 runs from the first official delivery in this over.
This is amusing and news to me that I've never seen Hamza bowl leg spin. He used to be, from what we have seen in the local. And he was pretty quick from what we know. But
oh, look at this. I guess he needs to bowl leg spin more often because he just got a wicket. Thick outside edge, smart piece of work by Chayan Jahangir behind the stumps. Umpire Rakesh Jain raises the finger. Do we have another twist in this game, Munir?
I'll just save my money for now. I'm not putting it on either of the sides. I still think the Hurricanes are favored. They've still got a couple more decent batters to come. But I think what it really comes down to is keeping a lid on this pressure situation. There's no need for those kind of strokes. Even this one seemed to be a very wild hoik when you're just looking to score 3.5 and over. And I don't even see that Sidesh is going for bringing fielders in the 30 yards, but that ball seemed to turn quite a distance.
It is genuinely a great delivery. It tossed up a little bit, drew the batter forward, went for the big drive, kissed the outside edge, and Captain Usman Rafiq is out.
A man of many talents is Hamza Bangash.
Yes.
I remember in maybe a couple of seasons ago, he traveled with one of the Houston franchises to the U.S. Open, where he bothered batsmen like Jos Karan, Stephen Taylor with his pace and swing outside the off stump in what may have been overcast conditions. But he's been known to be a very decent pacer. Bowls a heavy ball. I've never seen, or I never knew he could bowl leg spin. And bowling leg spin is one thing, but turning it square like he did, turn and bounce.
I completely agree with you, but also bear in mind we've said all along that from that end, the forest end of the wicket is the one that we thought was breaking up more and that would be more susceptible to taking spin. So not surprising that a spinner who is bowling from the highway end, in other words, bowling towards the forest end, would be the one who would trouble the batters. But you just did not expect for it to be Hamza Bangash.
Yeah, and the thing is, that was a huge call from Siddesh. He's a smart, thinking captain, and they must have seen something in the nets in practices to bring out Hamza. We do not know if he hasn't been bowling off late. We don't know if he has any back issues or he's recovering from an injury. Given the way he honks the ball, how he tonks it over long on and deep mid-wicket, I can't surely say he has any back issues. But his leg spin definitely looks to be a handy tool for Siddesh right now as he comes back in to Saqlain Haider, who has come in for Usman.
Corner. That's going to be 4. The very first delivery, a little too straight by the reborn leg spinner, Hamza Bangash, and you do not need to offer an invitation to Saqlain Haider to play the sweep shot. Sweeps it very fine and it runs away for 4.
Intelligent thinking all around. First, Siddesh with the introduction of Hamza, and as soon as the wicket fell, it was a no-brainer for Usman to send in the left-hander.
Yep.
Left-hander is one thing, but the one who's probably one of the best sweepers in all of minor league to come in, and that shot was inevitable.
Oh yes, the ball was well down the leg side, and frankly got what it deserved. Full toss, knocked down the ground for a single. So, you know, a lot of hiccups thus far for Houston, but the reality is that they are 11 runs away from victory with 26 balls to go. If you want to look at the required rate is under 3s, 2.54, and they do still have 6 wickets in hand. So, just tapped into the onside. They can run 2. They do run 2. This is good cricket.
Very street smart. Reminded me of a baseball bunt.
Yes.
Literally the way he did it. And given the entire field on the leg side was back, that was an intelligent shot. So Hurricanes are knocking the door now, for sure. With that boundary and this couple, I think they've gotten pretty close. They're within striking distance now.
The required rate, negligible. They need another 9 runs. Reverse sweep! Where's that gone? It is gone for 6. Oh my goodness. Saqlain Haider doing Saqlain Haider things. 6 off the last ball. So a bit of a roll of the dice. 1 wicket taken, but 15 runs come from the 16th over. And so now with another 4 overs to go, the Houston Hurricanes only require 3 runs for victory. I think if you were the betting type and you had your money on the Houston Hurricanes, you could feel a little bit more restful at this point.
Yes, I think that might seal the deal. And it looks like that was Ninad who did that switch hit.
Whoa.
And that's something we've seen him play. He's played quite a few games, and he seems to be a very steady, playing in the V kind of a player, knocking it around. So we had no idea he could do that. Maybe the influence of Saqlain Haider at the middle.
My apologies. I was just so taken away by the reverse sweep that I didn't realize that had Saqlain Haider played that shot, it would have been a conventional sweep. But a tremendous piece of batting overall. That is the last ball of the 16th. Maybe we have time for a quick break. Quick break, we'll be right back. 1:13 for 4.
If I tell you the easiest way to maximize your tax savings, get bookkeeping done, and having a better financial position in the market is to call 1-800-250-8596. So what are you waiting for? Just pick up the phone and call us now.
Here we go into what very likely could be the last over of the day's play. The score is 113 for 4. And it appears that Josh Sarapella will be taking up the attack from the forest end. And he will be bowling to Saqlain Haider. Just 3 runs remaining for victory. First ball defended into the onside for no run.
Yeah, not sure where Ninad was going, but they've played sensible cricket today as compared to a couple of previous occasions, although they did lose maybe a wicket or two which could have been avoided. But I think overall, the team management, the huddle after the game should be pretty happy with the way things have panned out, as this is a juicy full toss gifted to Saklan.
Full toss that's just bunted into the outfield to bring the scores level. So the next run of whatever flavor will result in a victory for the Houston Hurricanes. And there it is. Just a simple punch into the outfield. Saklan Hader with the winning stroke. And that completes what in the end was a lot more difficult victory than it should have been. But if you're Houston, you care nothing about that. You will absolutely take the victory at this stage. So the final margin of victory for the Houston Hurricanes is by 6 wickets. I think the tone for this innings, or this victory rather, was set by the great work by the captain Usman Rafiq with 5 wickets. And then he came on with the bat in his hand to also score some destructive runs and bring his team closer to victory. Couldn't stay there to close things out, but I think he did enough to pull his team over the finish line.
Yes, and Brian, this couldn't have been more comprehensive for the Hurricanes given the way the season had been going, with 22 deliveries left, with 6 wickets in hand, and they've taken a lead in that local town rivalry. From last season, it was even Steven, 1 apiece. And this time around, the Hurricanes have won a game against the Athletics. I think the Athletics, overall, they still look like a pretty decent unit. But what really hurt them was after the start, the way the middle order imploded and the batsmen did not apply themselves and losing wickets in a bunch. That really made the difference. And when it came to the Hurricanes batting, Usman and a couple of others, they really got together and built those small partnerships, which could be so important in a chase like this.
Completely agree with you. So just a few seconds before we get the scorecard back up, because I believe that the scorecard will tell the story of this game. And here we go. Just looking at the overall summary, the Lone Star Athletics batting first and scoring 115 for 9. Lone Star top scorers were Hamza Bangash 13, Shan Jahangir failing for the first time this year 12, and Nitish Kumar 20. And after that, the only other batter in double figures was Derval Green, coming in at the end with 17. And in that innings, the bowling was absolutely dominated again by Usman Rafiq. 4 overs, 1 maiden, 5 for 24. And so a few nervous moments when Houston batted. Top score here, Usman Rafiq, 29 from 27. Ramiz Raja, 28. A run a ball, 28. And then Saklan Hader and Ninad Nimbalkar coming in at the end to close things out. So a pretty comprehensive victory in the end, winning it in the 17th over, 3 balls remaining in that over. And Munir, finally, if you're a Houston Hurricanes fan, you can breathe a sigh of relief that they actually got a victory.
Exactly, Brian. And like we said earlier, even the Lone Star Athletics happens to be a team that's based in Houston. Although initially they were Austin Athletics, now they're Lone Star Athletics, but they're also based out of Houston. So for us, both teams were close to our hearts. And but one of them coming out on the winning side, I think Hurricanes can really try and get their season back on track. Some of the results that haven't gotten their way, they have to put that behind them. And this has to be a fresh start. They cannot say whether they still have a chance, but they have to put the best foot forward in every single game from here on in.
Fantastic. Well, Munir, it's been a pleasure facing the heat, the humidity, and the curry chicken and rice for the last couple of days. We'll probably take a quick break and come back to do an interview. I think a good person to talk to would be the captain himself. So let's take a short break. We will be right back. required right around 6 runs and over. As Green again to bowl, hammered straight. That is a brilliant shot. Oh, what a great shot. Spinner. Tossed up, driven down the ground. That's going to be 4.
2 well lefts in the back half of the innings, and now we've seen a silly point in a T20.
Wow,
he bowled him.
And he bowled him.
Let the spin dominate. Whereas now that Houston has seen that, as we say that, that one.
Left arm seamer, and this is cut away behind point. That's going to be 4. Well, finish this over strong. Has to be able to finish it strong. Here he is again. Huge hit. Boy, he was looking big there. Thick inside edge.
One poor delivery, and then this one inside edge past leg stump.
Goodness. Driven in the air over the top of mid-off. Now 35 for 1. Nitish Kumar in, and this is
look at that shot.
Right down a bit expensive. So there's some work to do to pull things back here for Lone Star. Oh, thick outside edge. It's going to result in 4 runs. Most of the spinners yesterday were turning the ball away from the right-handers. So that might have been an argument in the other direction. As this is an attempted sweep. Oh, what is this? The arm over. Slower in the air, lofted, catchable.
Point very far behind the square. Down the pitch comes Usman Rafiq. And it is launched over by the deep mid-wicket fielder, allowing them to come back for an easy 2. That one just over the head of short fine leg, who initially came in.
Hamza ball leg spin. He used to be, from what we have seen on the local. And he was pretty quick from what we know. But
look at this.
Tool for Sadesh right now as he comes back in to Suckline Heather, who has come in for Usman.
Corner. That's going to be 4. The very first negligible. They need another 9 runs. Reverse sweep. Where's that gone? It is gone for 6.
You're watching the Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship, presented by Sunoco.